Welcome everybody to today's stream. Hello. Hope you're all doing good. You all had a nice week and let's have some fun together. Welcome. So there we go. Yeah, today doing something different than usual, a little bit more than. Welcome. Nice to see you here already. Welcome. I thought it is somewhat of a smart idea to play a little bit more of the Visions of Eternity maps, because I suspect that we might need some of the things, or at least I guess that we need some of the things that we get here from those maps, the meta event and that kind of stuff, when we want to craft the legendary ring from whatever it will be. But I suspect it will need something from the Visions of Eternity map, so I guess I start preparing already. Welcome everybody. Exactly, I'm trying to put out more streams. That's the idea. Yeah, I'm not sure if I can make daily yet, because you notice I do daily YouTube videos already, so it's a little bit of a stretch to get all of the stuff daily. But I will try to do, like, let's say every 2 days a stream. That's the goal. Yeah. Hope that is appreciated. But I enjoy streaming as well, so that's good. New legendary ring, final Syrma has a new goal. Exactly, yeah. That's the mindset. The ring will drop in like 3 weeks, so I already start preparing. That is, so to say, the big hope that, you know, I don't want to be the mean guy here and say, we need more legendaries and stuff. But I really think that in general, getting more legendaries is probably, like, no one will get hurt for that. So I hope that we will just get more legendaries, and then I have something more to do in the game. Yeah, I think the ring doesn't look like insane. It's not like that I get it because I think that's like I will equip it on every single character, but it is for me at least something to go for. Yeah, and I think having another legendary is always good. And I think a lot of people were missing the ring because they did not play World versus World at all, and they didn't want to get into raids, and then it's just impossible to get a ring. So I think it's quite nice that they bring another ring as a legendary out. The thing, however, is I'm not even sure how they will get it. If it's open world, probably not. But maybe it's quick play, maybe it's, I don't know, we will have to see. But either way, I'm looking forward to that, and I want to get it. Yeah, I mean, I can't speak for you, but I think for me, a legendary is not only the skin. Yeah, so I have so many legendaries, and I like to collect them. You know, I even have 2 legendary amulets, not because you can equip them, just because I guess I have them. And I have to be honest, I got my PvP amulet before I got the prismatic champions regalia, so stuff like that. I don't care about the look of that, but of course I know I'm a special case. But either way, hope you're doing all good, and if you have any questions, just let me know. And the question I want to ask throughout the whole stream today is, do you think the balance patch will be good? Like, coming on Tuesday, we have a balance patch. Will this patch be good? Will this patch be changing the metas in specific game mobs? Or do you think it will be just a map patch that is like trying to achieve something and not really succeeding at doing so? I'm like a little bit torn. You know, I think the changes that they make, for example, to Viva, they are good changes. I'm actually happy with them. The problem is they should go like more bold and make more changes that maybe might affect the meta a bit more than just having like a bit more damage on your spear. Stuff like that. But, and that's the important part, we don't even know at this point. If we will probably get some, but how they will look. Changes to Visions of Eternity specs. Changes to Visions of Eternity specs might completely change how this balance patch is considered, if it's good, if it's bad, because they could nerf like ritualist damage in half. They could do that. Do I expect that? No, but they could. Stuff like that is, for me, something that can make or break the patch. So we will really have to see how deep they go, how much of the Visions of Eternity specs they actually want to change. Like I mentioned in the last few streams, I suspect that if we get changes to Visions of Eternity specs, or probably we will, I suspect the only elite spec that will not get any changes for the Visions of Eternity specs, that is probably Troubadour. I really think Troubadour is one of the ones that might be the ones that is completely unaffected because it's like in a rather balanced spot. I know it has some annoying builds to deal with, but it's not like as bad as, for example, Luminary that is completely overpowered in each game mode. So we will see. I think the ring should be very easy to get, but it should cost way more to compensate for World vs. World in Raid. I think that is something that they are aiming for. You could see that with Aurochs. I don't know how much Aurochs cost at this point, but I think it costs like 3 to 4k gold when I crafted it, or like something around that. And I think you can see that if they make open world legendaries, they are somewhat easy to get. It's just a grind. Everybody can do that. You don't have to be a god gamer to get the legendary. And I think that will be the same for the ring. So I'm with you there. I also think that it's, for me, unlikely that they will always, just because it's a quick play feature that comes with the patch, I would be very surprised if they always would give out a free legendary. I don't see that, because it's like you want to keep your players engaged with the game. You don't want players that just quit the game after getting the legendary because it's for free. They don't have any goals anymore. So I think it's quite likely that they will bind maybe a high gold sink, maybe a high grinds goal to the legendary. I definitely see that as well. We will have to see. Yeah, exactly, around 4k. So it's quite, even though it's a very easy to get legendary, Aurochs that is, it is one of the legendaries that is rather, how can I say, gold sinky. Yeah, so you have a big gold sink attached to it. But if you just don't want to do any other content in open world, you have to just take that and say, okay, I invest a bit more gold, but at least I get the legendary that I want. And I think that's completely fair, and I think that is quite likely that they will do the same thing with this ring. I really am with you there. Yeah. It's nice that they did the free gloves, but no more free legendaries. That would be bad in my opinion. Yeah, I think you have to be really careful. You know, like free legendaries is something that is really like pushing players into the content. But if you give out free legendaries every couple of months, people will lose interest. That's the same thing with everything in the world. You know, if you have some really cool thing that you give out for free, for the first time it's nice. But if you do it 10 times, then people will not be interested that much anymore. And that's the same with the legendaries. You have to have some kind of end game goal to work towards. And I think it's really nice if they would give out some kind of intention to start working on a legendary, so that you get some, maybe the precursor for playing the quick play event or something. And then you have to invest more time into normal mode raids or in open world, in Visions of Eternity, stuff like that. There is some longevity. Because I have to be honest, you know, I like those maps. I think Starlit World is a really nice map. It looks awesome. It has really good events on there. I think it's one of the best maps in the last 2 years. I would really say that. However, in the last 2 months, I'm not joking, December and November, I did not play this map at all. I did not a single time visit the map. Not because I don't like it, just because there is no incentive for me to go there, because I have the legendary Staff Spear and I have the legendary Aqua Breeder. But why would I go here? There is almost no incentive. And I even went back like multiple times a week to Auric Basin and like Chuck Garand and stuff. But here it's way less. And I think that is something that hopefully the legendary ring will change to some extent. At least for me. I really hope so. Yeah. Welcome everybody. Welcome Drax. Welcome. I'm curious about Necro changes, at least Great Sword changes. Yeah, I think the Necromancer changes are for me like a little bit of a wild card. Because we don't know the numbers of all of them, and even the numbers that we know, I think they are somewhat of a like buff nerf at the same time. Yeah, so some people really liked, for example, that you have the life force gain on your 3 skill on Greatsword, and that is a little bit lost. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. It's really tough, to be honest. Really tough. Wait, why is it not shooting? The heart marker is actually quite annoying. But yeah, so I think the Greatsword, or in general the Necromancer changes, I actually expect to change quite a few builds. Like I think Power Reaper will change. I think like the Ritualist build might change. Stuff like that. There is actually something happening there. We will have to see how, like, if it's like insane changes or just a little bit, but I'm looking forward to the changes. I'm not sure if they will all be positive though. Yeah, I suspect Ritualist will be also a little bit worse than before. I really think so. Because it's already really strong, and I expect some nerfs to it as well. Yeah. If everybody has legendaries, why would I grind for one? Yeah, I think, to be honest, this is a mindset that a lot of people have, and I can understand that. And I think it's really hard for ArenaNet to balance it in a way that legendaries are something that you want to go for, while at the same time are not so achievable that everybody has every single one of them. Yeah, I wouldn't mind personally, because I'm someone, I like to play the game, so to say, with a mindset of I don't care if other people have stuff that I have. But I know a lot of other people like to have something that others don't, because that is something prestigious in that way. So that is completely understandable. I definitely see that. So I doubt there will be legendary will be given away for free. That's the whole point. Yeah. I hope the quick play will make players to play more raids. Want to get the new raid ring via quick play. Also, hopefully they will do another one if the new ring is unique. That would be interesting. Yeah. I mean, we have currently the ability to get, if you want to get full rings, like legendary rings, you have to either go and get Coalescence and Conflux. So Conflux is from World vs. World and Coalescence from raids. So if this is unique, this one, but this one is not. So you can get 2 Confluxes, so to say, and get like fully equipped from World vs. World. If you, however, don't play World vs. World at all, you have no ability to get like a second ring right now. So I think if it's like unique, they really want to force you to get into all raids, not only the quick play raids. I can see why you would say they should give you the ability to get 2 of them or something. Yeah, I think I can see that. I'm not sure if they will though. I'm not sure if they will. Maybe. Who knows? I can't like predict anything anymore with ArenaNet at this point. Yeah. I think Reaper will be a bit better and a bit worse. Yeah, and Ritualist a bit worse. Yeah, I think so. I think Reaper will get buffed, because Reaper was in a state where I would say it's good, but it's not like absolutely S tier anymore in terms of like PvE performance. And I think that might buff Reaper, in even especially like also in competitive mods, to be honest, to some extent. And we have to see. Oh my god, it's always those maps that like the FPS is like completely gone. But yeah. I agree. I think it's quite likely that we will see some shifts in the meta, in the Necromancer meta. I think Ritualist will stay strong. If you're a Ritualist enjoyer, I think you will not have a big problem. Ritualist will stay strong without any problems, because it's just the baseline kit is just awesome. Like having stability, having like so much CC in the kit is just perfect for like any content that you want to do. So if you enjoy Ritualist, you don't have to worry. But if you like to play Reaper, I think it's nice to get some buffs to it. Yeah. After balance patch, would be better to go Luminary or Troubadour for World vs. World roaming, hit and run playstyle to be unkillable. I don't know the numbers changes for Luminary and Troubadour yet. I would expect that Luminary gets some nerfs, whereas Troubadour will probably be untouched. So I would say it depends a bit how strong Luminary gets nerfed. You know, we don't know the numbers for the Visions of Eternity specs for the balance patch. So I personally would say it seems like for a roamer, Troubadour might be a very safe choice. For someone that wants to have a crazy amount of burst, I think it actually might be still Luminary. I think both of them are like really good. After the patch, I can't see that ArenaNet nerfs Luminary so much that it's unplayable. I really doubt that. So to be honest, both of them are great. Can't decide what profession I want to main. I mean, what are your options? What are your options? I can maybe help you, but in general, like choose the one that you like the look of. You know, there is not a single spec that is bad in any game mode. It's really is like that. It was too fairly balanced in that regard now. Why is my message under automod? I have no clue, Trax. Sometimes the modding is like a little bit aggressive. Can I ask your opinion? I crafted light legendary armor. Which weight class legendary armor should you go next? I personally would say heavy for me personally, because I think heavy has a lot of really strong builds. Guardian has really good builds, and just for Guardian alone, I think it's worth it to equip like legendary heavy armor only. But if you play Revenant and Warrior as well, especially with Paragon being so strong right now, it's a really solid choice. But that's also a little bit because I'm just not the biggest thief enjoyer other than Spectre. So I have like one medium armor class that I don't play like insane amount of builds with. So I think for me personally, if you like the design of a class, it's already worth it to just get the heavy or medium armor class just for the single one class. You don't have to consider all of them. But if you then, for example, are like me and play Revenant, Warrior and Guardian very much, then it's instantly like I want to go for heavy armor. But that's also somewhat because I think like the build variety for medium armor classes is like you have Berserker gear and you have Viper gear, and then you have typically like maybe some kind of healing gear, and that's it. For heavy armor classes, you can play like at least like 4 or 5 different ones that I have in mind. You can also do that, of course, for medium. Just want to mention here that for medium, it's not as often the case for PvE content as it is for heavy, for me at least. Welcome, British, welcome, welcome. And welcome, Sen, welcome. I started playing the game exactly 11 days ago and have already put in 155 hours playing Vindicator Ref. Your videos have been on my tabs constantly through my journey. You have been amazing. Perfect. Yeah, I mean, glad to hear that. And that's quite impressive hours, to be honest. Yeah. Good job there. I guess you're enjoying the game. That's good. That's good. That's what we like. Yeah. More videos to come. If you have any questions, just ask here. We are always happy to help. They should change Luminary a bit to make it more punishing. Yeah, I think Luminary is currently, like in all game modes, actually pushing out too much damage for the safety it has. So I think either changing the cooldowns of it so that if you use the cooldown at the wrong time, like the defensive ones, then you should be punished for that, or making just the damage potential a bit lower. I think maybe finding a middle ground there is also fine, but I think it's really like quite important that they make Luminary not as like the spec that you can just play and press all buttons and win. I think it should at least have some thought put into it. Yeah. Yeah, Dark Magic. Yes, streaming is good. I want to stream more this year. That's my whole idea. I already streamed like more than in December to some extent. It's crazy. Yeah. Have they ever reworked a profession before? So a whole profession? No, they haven't done that, but they did some big changes to elite specs. So one that comes to mind is, for example, Renegade. They changed the whole how the spirits works, like to that with the color spirits and stuff like that, and they make changes to elite specs from now and then. It's not something that I would say is happening every single balance patch. So we will see. I doubt they will do any big reworks anymore. I think for this balance patch coming next week, I think it's more likely that they will just make some numbers changes that hopefully affect the meta in a better way. Ooh, that was a lot of damage. I just did a research about what is the most fun healer, and Auramancer Tempest won by a mile. Next one was Heal Firebrand, and after the Equity Heal Scourge. Yeah, I think for me, I like Auramancer Tempest a lot. I think the gameplay loop is so fun. You're so flexible, and it's really, really underrated build. Like, I would agree with that one as one of the most fun healers. However, I would say, like, Heal Scourge is only fun to players that like a playstyle where you press your buttons quite, like, aggressively, you know. Tempest is like you press one button and then you can chill for 2 seconds if you wanted to. On Heal Scourge, I often feel like your numbers that your APM that you put out with a healer build is actually quite high. So if you're not into that, maybe not that one. Yeah. To be honest, my favorite class is Shortbow Herald, the gameplay and how it looks and feels, but the damage is abysmal, both open world and raids. Yeah, I think Herald needs buffs. I'm really like sad that they don't buff Herald that much, because Herald is like a spec that is, I would say, a fan favorite, not only for me, but for a lot of people. And just the damage numbers in any game mode are like they are okay. But if you compare that to the other specs, it's just at this point, they are so weak. They are really weak. Like, that's a little bit sad. I really hope that they will buff it. Like, absolutely. I plan Chrono Heal and Fractals. I don't think it's a major nerf in the upcoming patch, but it would be really noticeable. Yeah, I agree. I think like I'm pretty sure that the Chronomancer nerf will be noticeable, but it will not be absolutely like making it unplayable. I think it's still S tier healer. It's crazy how many new players I see in the community in your stream. Yeah, it's really nice. I think that's the beauty of like making a lot of content for new players as well, that you see actually that people are coming to the game. If you're only catering to the veteran audience, it's quite likely that you will not be able to see if there are new players incoming or not. And I really hope we get new players, and we see that in my streams and my comments. It's really nice. Yeah. Since you are a completionist, I'd like to know if you have the Empowered Bone Skinner Swine. I think I have that skin, yeah. Let me check. I'm pretty sure I have that skin, but it can be wrong, you know. I'm a collectionist, yes, but I don't have, I don't equip that stuff. Bone Skinner. I don't have the empowered one. How much is the empowered one? I have the normal one, I guess. Interesting. Should get that one. Can you purchase it from the trading post? Or do you have to craft it yourself? I guess you have to craft it yourself. That's crazy. I have to get it at some point. I have a lot of Bone Skinner tokens, so maybe that will be useful for something. I'm a new player, currently leveling to 80. Where can I find some builds? So you can go to my website. Link is in the description of the YouTube chat. There's a link to the website, and you will find all kinds of guides there. New player guides and build guides, everything you would ever look for. My website is the best place there. Go to Sleepy. I'm kind of concerned about heal chrono. I like the raw healing value. I want to see before I'm playing them. I think the raw healing value of Chronomancer was never like was never top of the charts. Like healing on Chronomancer is good, but it's not like giga good. And I think that will not change with the balance patch. The balance patch will nerf the healing numbers a bit. So if you have like a high pressure fight, that might actually be a little bit more concerning, like insane healing pressure, yeah. But I think that's fair, you know, you don't want to have healers that have everything in one kit, you know. If you need a lot of healing, you go for a different healer if you want to have the absolute best choice for this fight. If you want to have something that is like really good in reflex or in stability or something, you would go maybe for another one. I think that is like the beauty of like balance, and I think that's what they should do. I'm not sure if they are achieving that with this patch, but I think that is how they should balance stuff. I hope they buff Viva in the future. I'm so with you. I really hope so. They buff it a bit with this patch, but I think it's not enough. Yeah. Is it better to make one character with all crafting professions or keep it to multiple characters? I would keep it on multiple characters, because the thing is, if you have not a crafting expansion, so to say, you have each character has only 2 slots for crafting professions, yeah? So you can only be a chef and a jeweler, and you cannot get other worker at the same time. You can switch them, but each time you switch them, you will not lose your progress, but you will lose 40 silver each time or something, like you swap them. That doesn't sound like that much, but if you do that like regularly, you lose a lot of money there. So it's way better to have multiple characters that have like one has huntsman, the other one has like weaponsmith, and so on, yeah. And that's how I do it. I think like getting all 8 or 9 crafting professions actually at this point into one character slot is way too expensive and not worth it. Yeah. I noticed that there's lots of people coming to the game every new expansion. I think this expansion, it was even more than usual. I think every time the new expansion comes out, people are interested in the game, sure. But I think this time we had a lot of really good things happening to the game. We had a lot of marketing. We had a lot of like players coming from other MMOs like New World that were just not performing that well anymore. And stuff like that really pushed Guild Wars 2 in terms of like how it was perceived and how many people joined. Yeah. Yeah, always happy to help, always happy to help. How about some fashion show? Equip some of the best skins you have, since you have a lot of legendaries. I thought about making like a full stream dedicated to that, where I go through my characters that I play the most, and the chat can, so to say, vote or can like help me equip the skins that are actually looking good. Because I have to be honest, I have a lot of skins. Like I have all the legendaries, I have like a lot of skins unlocked, but I never equipped them. So I have no clue what is actually like a good combination or something. So that, I guess, would be a fun thing to do at some point, yeah. If you're interested in that, of course. I just started playing Guild Wars 2, don't even know why. Must stream some videos and have been sick of World of Warcraft. I mean, Guild Wars 2 is a really good game to get started right now. And if you enjoy what you are seeing, what you like to... what you experience, I mean, it's perfect. It's a game that is meant to players, or that can be at least played for players that are very casual or that play it as a side game. So if you want to stick to playing WoW in the future, you can do so. Guild Wars 2 is not a game that punishes you for playing another game on the side. That's really nice. But I think if you're coming from WoW, you should have expectations about the game that is just a little bit different, you know. It's not WoW. That can be a good or a bad thing. Just keep in mind that the content output is not as high as, for example, for WoW, but the game has so much to deliver because it's already so old as well. It has so much content over the years that you as a new player will probably have years until you run out of content. So there are a lot of positives for this game. So hope you enjoy it. And if you have any questions, just ask. I don't find it hard to swap. If I could have had one character who had all the crafting simultaneously very early on, then I would perhaps have done that. Now that I wouldn't even know it is possible. Yeah, I think personally for me it's not hard. I'm not saying it's hard. I just think, if at least for how I use crafting, I log in every day and craft some stuff. And if I would have to swap stuff every single day, like swapping like 40 silver or and then back, that means that I have like 80 silver, almost 1 gold per day that I lose. That's per year. That's like 300 gold. If I would then do that for 10 years since I started playing the game, that means that I would have lost 3k gold. That's a lot of money in the game. Yeah, that's like at this point like almost 2 legendaries worth it, at least generation 1s. So I personally think for me it's worth it to have multiple characters with the crafting professions. But I can understand from the, so to say, I don't know, OCDD issues there that you want, that I also have, like having a character for this, having a character for that. I think it makes a lot of sense to have all the crafting professions on one character. It's just very expensive, and I think that's not worth it then for me anymore. Yeah. Welcome, Kanten. Welcome. Guten Morgen. Guten Morgen. Is there any dwarf damage or tank builds? So dwarf is like a Revenant Elite or Revenant stance that you only see in competitive modes. It's like in PvE, you only see it as a healer for stability specifically. But for a tank or something, that doesn't really make a lot of sense in PvE. It's really just like in World vs. World, where you need a lot of like stability, AoE, and some damage mitigation and stuff like that. Or in competitive modes in, like, for example, PvP, where you can play some kind of conduit, for example, with a rather defensive setup with dwarf. It's really like in PvE, tanking with dwarf is not really a thing that often. Yeah, sadly. Revenant, I made a whole video about that topic and I still stand by it. I think Revenant has the issue that a lot of stances, legends, are just not that useful, and or if they are, you only want them for a specific skill, and it's very, very challenging to balance it around that then. It's a little bit sad. Yeah, a little bit sad. As a newest player, interested in support healing, how would you recommend that? Getting started into Fractal Strikes? I love the game and your content, by the way. Yeah, glad to hear that. So I would say getting started with Fractals and Strike missions specifically is awesome. That's perfect to start learning to play, how to play healer and stuff. I would say if you have a specific class that you like the look of, that you play a lot, tell me that and I can give you the healer that is good for that, because every single class at this point has an S tier healer. I'm not joking. Guild Wars 2 has extremely well-balanced PvE in that regard, so not a single class has not the ability to heal. I would say let me know what class you are looking at the most, what you would like to play, and I can tell you what healer I would recommend the most. I tried the new matchmaking for Fractals and didn't like it. It was non-stop running and no real challenge. Yeah, I think that is a fair criticism. I definitely see that. I think they should improve on that with the raid quick play, because they, first of all, by nature, raids, bosses are just bosses. You know, you don't have any running. It's not like skipping stuff. So it will 100% be you fight the boss all the time. So that will already solve your issue for the most part. But I agree that it's somewhat like not a challenge. I think that's the whole idea behind it, because you want to start with easy mode, get into normal mode, get into challenge mode, and get into legendary challenge mode. So I think it's quite likely that that will be somewhat similar, that it's not a big challenge. But if you want a big challenge, I mean, you can get into higher level fractals or higher level raids. You know, I think that is fair. You know, that's how it's designed. But you will not have the running issue with the raids. I can guarantee you that. Yeah. It's weird how you touched on content cadence for Guild Wars 2. I remember the content drought of yesterday's years, but I agree, coming from other MMOs, Guild Wars 2 doesn't push as much content, but the content is replayable. Yeah, I think that's the big thing about Guild Wars 2's content, is that you have no level cap increase, you have no item level increase. So even if there is not as much content coming than other MMOs get, or at least, for example, World of Warcraft gets, you can always go back. You know, we have maps that are from 10 years ago, and players are still playing them to this day, every single day. So yes, Guild Wars 2 has an awesome, I would say, like, system. It doesn't have the best cadence, but it has an awesome system to keep the maps alive. Not all of them, I have to admit. Some of them are a little bit like don't have good rewards and people don't go back. But a lot of them have good rewards, and that's a big draw. I agree. Yeah. What do you think Warrior needs to be up to par with other specs? I feel like you said the Warrior was a big read in terms of boon and DPS. Yeah, I think Warrior needs a bit more utility. Like, if Warrior, either increase the damage numbers of Warrior or make it more versatile, you know? I think Warrior has currently the issue that if you want to play it as a DPS build, it's a good DPS build. And if you want to play it as a support, as a full support, it's a good support. But as soon as you want to play a little bit of, like, being, so to say, a class that is flexible, that you can say, okay, I don't trust my healer to have permanent stability, I can slot in some stability. Yeah, that's not possible on Warrior, stuff like that, you know? Every other class has this, Warrior doesn't. So I think Warrior just needs either a big damage buff to the DPS specs to make them actually like really giga high DPS numbers, or get more flexibility. And I don't know if any of that will happen with the next patch. Yeah. I got a level 50 Mesmer, but then I saw a video of yours that you aren't very happy about specializations like Chronomancer. Now you kind of regret. No, don't worry. Chronomancer is really good. Like, I think Chronomancer is extremely good. And even after the nerfs to it, it will be really good. So it's still an S tier build after the nerfs. So don't worry too much. It's just at the end game that you will notice a little bit of a slightly less crazy broken build, but it's still really good. So don't worry. Chronomancer is a good pick, but Guardian is also a really good pick. So choose what you like to look more. Yeah. Do you think that the raid quick play will have LI and will be easier for legendary sets of Envoy? I think that they might do it in a way that you have to complete like 10 raid quick plays and you get 1 LI or something. So that there might be some way to get LI, like the legendary insights. That's how it's called for people that don't know. Which you need for legendary armor crafting from raids. But I think it's very unlikely that you will get the same amount. Like, it's very unlikely, because it should be some kind of intention of them to push you into the raids. You know, you don't want the player base being split in people that do normal mode raids for fun or whatever, and then you have the people that just grind the quick play for the legendary armor. I think you want to make it in a way that people get introduced to raids, have an incentive to play the quick play, and if they like it and want to go for the legendary armor, they stick around and play normal modes, because they are not that hard either. So keep that in mind. Yeah. I've tried every healer in the PvP lobby to get a feel. My favorites are Chronomancer, Spectre, and Paragon. I want to play to like Druid, but the kit and the alacrity upkeep feels very disjoint to me. So first of all, keep in mind that in PvP the numbers are a bit different. So if you try a spec and then like the upkeep might seem a bit bad, that just might mean that you have a spec that is really like changed or nerfed in competitive modes. That is the case, for example, for Druid. But if you like, in general, I would agree that Druid is a spec that is only crazy good for players that actually know what they are doing. It's not something I wouldn't recommend players start with a Druid as a healer. It's way easier to start as a Chronomancer, as a Spectre, even especially as a Paragon, because they are just way easier to get into. Druid is a spec that only shines because it has like 20 pets that you can equip. It has like 10, 15 different utility skills that you can equip. Stuff like that is just really high valued for veterans like me. But if you start out the game, you don't know which skill you want to pick for which boss. So that's not your fault. That just means that you have to slowly get there to this knowledge. That's why I would say, for me personally, Druid is... I would not recommend starting with a Druid personally. If you like the design, go for it, sure. But I personally, if you have like multiple choices, I would say probably go for one of the others first. Exactly. Playing Guild Wars 2 allows you to play other games. Exactly. It's not forcing you to play only Guild Wars 2. It's not an only game. You can do that, but you don't have to. Yeah. I still play Silver Waste. Love that map. Exactly. You know, Silver Waste is one of the maps that is like, at this point, like 2016, 2015 it came out or something like that. It's old, but it's still played to this day and people love it and still play it. It's good. It's really crazy good, yeah. I'm currently playing Celestial Paragon. It's a really good build for open world matters because you provide damage and you provide boons. It's just like a perfect all-round pick, and you provide healing. So it's like, it's easy, it's healing, it's damage, it's like support, it's everything you wanted in one kit. That's why I play it, and I want to showcase it a bit. Neville asked for Necromancer, got some spot in raids and Fractal. I'm playing as a DPS. Yes, Necromancer is a good DPS. You can play Ritualist as a DPS, you can play Harbinger as a DPS, you can play Scourge as a DPS, and you can play Reaper as a DPS. So choose the one that you like the look of, and you will have a really good build for that. I personally would say, if you have no preference, right now Ritualist seems like a really good pick, because Ritualist has, even as a full DPS build, has some support capabilities, and that's just, I value that very highly, because that means that if your party is just struggling, or if your support doesn't know everything, you can help them out, and that's always a big plus. Yeah, just wanted to keep that in mind. Thanks a lot, really appreciate Prototype. I appreciate your rapid fire answering all these questions. I mean, trying my best here. Yeah, if I miss some, please let me know and just ask again. Thank you very much for your support, really appreciate it. Yeah, so keep that in mind. Welcome Snowbleach, welcome. I'm in my quitting without quitting phase, doing my dailies and weeklies, then do other stuff. I mean, that is completely fine. And I think that is something that I have been like in the last, let's say, 12 years, probably 10 times in this phase, where I just say, I don't quit Guild Wars 2 fully, but I just play some dailies and get some loot or log in for doing the Wizard's Vault or something. And then I'm, so to say, like, yeah, I'm off and playing something else. That is the beauty of Guild Wars 2. If you do that in any other MMO, you will notice how you fall behind. In Guild Wars 2, you don't. In Guild Wars 2, you can just come back in 2 months or in 3 months when the next map releases and you have no lost time, no lost value. It's really good. I think that's really nice and it's one of the best things about the game. Yeah, so I can see that. I just hope Livermental that you come back at some point and play fully. Yeah. Any build video that you are considering to do after the patch? Yes, I actually currently am looking at 2 specific builds. One of them I'm not completely sure yet how I will call it and what it wants to be, but the other one is definitely low intensity Harbinger. I'm looking at a low intensity Harbinger build with the buffs to Spite or the changes to Spite. I expect some actually quite nice work there. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that one specifically. Low intensity Harbinger. I think I have a plus coming up with low intensity builds at the moment, or like researching them rather. And yeah, we will have to see if that actually works out or if it's like just I'm coping too much there. So I'm like collecting that stuff that I want to save for later. Very good. I wonder if they add any additional nerfs to the new Visions of Eternity specs. I'm pretty sure, Lantern, they will. I think they said on developer livestream that the thing that they showcase now, so the preview that I made a video about and stuff like that, this is very likely to be... Oh, let's play quick DPS, I guess. So it's very likely to be only the thing that they will change to the old specs that were before Visions of Eternity. The changes they want to do to the Visions of Eternity specs they didn't showcase. So I expect changes to them. I don't expect like reworks or something. I just expect changes that are affecting them in a way that they are a little bit more balanced. Yeah, for example, number changes, recharge changes, stuff like that. That's my prediction. Yeah. If I'm struggling to find a preference between Warrior, Guardian, Revenant, Elementalist, and Mesmer, do you have any recommendations? For instance, PvE, Open World, and World versus World? It's hard to say which one is the best there because you have like half of the classes mentioned there. I personally would say Mesmer is always a good pick. I would say Guardian is like Arena and its favorite child, so it's like there's no time in the entire history of the game where Guardian was bad, and I think that will not change. So Guardian is always a great pick. But I would say the only one that is a little bit weaker in the overall performance is probably Revenant because it's just a little bit less flexible. But I think if you would have to pick, I would probably go for Guardian or Mesmer at this point, personally. Yeah. Yeah. Glad you like it, Linus, man. Glad you like it. I'm a bit burnt out from progressing my account, still new to the story on my main. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. That is completely fine. Welcome, Sentient. Welcome. Is Spellbreaker any good? I mostly play Paragon, but I like the look of Spellbreaker and considered running it in open world. I think Spellbreaker is surprisingly good, yeah. I think Spellbreaker is just like the boon output is way less than Paragon. But if you like it, I think it's actually quite fun. I like to play Spellbreaker, even in open world stuff where you would consider like Paragon being god tier. But I think it's like, even there, Spellbreaker is good, yeah. So maybe I'll get back into the game after the stressful end of the year phase at work. I mean, maybe, yeah. Just set yourself some goals and have some fun, you know. But if you don't like the game currently and don't have anything to do, it's completely fine to come back at a later point. I don't want to push and say you should play a game that you don't enjoy. I think that's the beauty. I had that in the past a lot, that I said, yeah, I don't dislike Guild Wars 2, but I don't know what to do at the moment, so I don't play it. I play something else. I think that's completely fair. That's just really nice, yeah. I'm scared for this new patch, to be honest. Guild Wars 2 tends to nerf my favorites. I hope not. I really hope not that the nerfs will... I think the nerfs should be in a way that they nerf overperforming stuff in a way that it's still like medium, you know? If you have this where it's like the middle ground and then you have like the Visions of Eternity specs, they should be brought down to everybody being on the same level. That is my big hope. We will see if that's the case or if they over nerf it. We will have to see. Double checking if I'm on the quickness trade. I'm not. Good that I checked. Very good. Welcome, Pirate. Welcome, welcome. Revenant is in a bad spot right now. If you're on the Revenant main, then skip it. Trust me. Yeah, I think Revenant is not... I'm not saying it's like horrible, but I think it's out of those 5 that you picked, they're definitely the worst. Yeah. Yes. Haldir, welcome, welcome. Nice. Good to have you in the group. Good to have you. Yeah, I think Arms in general is like one of the best trade lines that you currently have on Warrior. It's such a fun trade line. It's so fun. Like this fast attacking. Oh yes, that's exactly what we want. Fast attacks. I love open world builds that have some support built in for the health bar of nearby randoms. Yeah, I think then Paragon is really good. Like Spellbreaker is not that good for that, sadly, because Spellbreaker is like a little bit like you are. How can I say? You have trouble keeping up wounds for yourself, so you probably provide no healing to allies either. So I think it's fine, but it's not the best. There are a lot of options though for Warrior. Paragon is probably the best pick there out of the ones that we mentioned earlier. Yes, Gale Shot. I like Gale Shot. I think Gale Shot is really fun. I'm a little bit sad that Gale Shot is like not considered one of the absolute best picks in PvE right now, just because it has some annoying mechanics built in there. Yeah, we have a good group. I like it. We have a good group. When is the balance patch? It's on Tuesday, so in 3 days. Yeah, so it's very soon. Very soon. I'm a newbie. Do you know the reason why do most build sites recommend bountiful maintenance oils for healing builds? So bountiful maintenance oils on healing builds, I can show you, is extremely valuable because it modifies your outgoing healing. Yeah, you can see that here. The outgoing healing is increased by 0.6% depending on the healing power and 0.8% depending on the concentration. This is something that is extremely valuable because it multiplies every single bit of healing that you do. Regeneration, like any burst healing, anything, any pulse healing. It will be multiplied at the end by this number. So if you have 150% outgoing healing modifier, that means that your heal that will normally heal you or heal your allies for 1k will now heal them for 1,500. Sorry, I'm bad. Yeah. That's it. So it will increase it by 50% value, which is huge. To get this number with healing power, it's way harder. So absolutely use that if you need the absolute highest amount of healing. If you're on a budget, you can always use, for example, like something like peppermint oils or something like that. But oftentimes that's just not helping that much. Yeah, getting more heals is just the best possible way of getting damage or healing, getting damage mitigation for your allies. Said my Sunfire Crystal is getting nerfed. Yeah, I think that is a little bit of a sad nerf. I think that is probably one of the saddest things, like for Thief specifically, but in general, I think that is a little bit sad. Yeah, I can see that. Do you think they will ever fix Mirage? I don't think so. I think they are too scared of Viva and Mirage. I don't want to be sad here, but I think like Viva and Mirage, they seem to be the specs that are forgotten. Like they just accepted their fate and say, okay, we don't know how to fix that. We have no clue how to fix that. I find it hard to engage to World vs. World. I was set up with a team that only have 10% of the map. Yeah, it's as a new player that can be a bit frustrating. Try to find a guild if you want to get into World vs. World very actively. Then guild is the best way to get like good people and always have action going on. That's the only good tip that I can give you. Watching your videos, I'm playing Guardian Firebrand, and I don't like the field. That is a fun character for me, way too confusing in my head. I saw some of your recommendations like Chronomancer, Reaper, and Scrapper. Any advice? I think Scrapper is really good. Like for new players, I really like to recommend Scrapper because it's just so like flexible and safe as well at the same time. I really like that. It's a little bit like less, so to say, like going to your head than Firebrand, but it's also not the easiest. I would say Reaper is way easier than all of them. So choose the class that you like the look of. All of them have good builds. You choose really good builds already. You pre-choose. Yeah, that's good. What do you think will most likely get the nerf hammer? I think Luminary. Luminary and Ritualist seem to be the most outstanding ones. Yeah, at least I would expect that. I played Luminary support in PvP and enjoyed. Got 1 Q for Luminary spell. What is the range of Effulgent Stance? Is it somehow hidden? I think it's we have to check it, but I think it's like 300 range probably. That's typically 300 is the very common range for almost everything if you don't know it. Do you think Condi Scourge needs a bit of love? Is in a decent place already. I think Condi Scourge is in a decent place. However, it is in a niche place. So Condi Scourge shines at one situation. And the situation is that you have high damage pressure and high, maybe even Condi pressure. And you need not only your healers to provide a lot of heals, but also your DPS builds to also be tanky and provide some utility to the party while also healing themselves, for example, stuff like that. Then Condi Scourge and Condi Virtuoso shine, those 2 builds. But sadly, this only exists like in 2 or 3 different bosses in Guild Wars 2. So if you don't play those bosses, I think Condi Scourge is just a little bit subpar. So I would personally say maybe give it a little bit more. I don't know. The problem is if you buff it, it will just be god tier in those game modes. So I personally think it's in a good spot. It is, yeah. Which server do you play? I think I spot my server all the time, so I cannot. I'm playing on EU. That's the main thing that I can tell you there. I don't have piercing. That's a little bit sad. Well, I'm losing a lot of damage here against the 2 targets. A little bit sad. That's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Amalgam might get a nerf. Yeah, Amalgam might get another nerf. That's true. Amalgam might also get a nerf. I think all of the Visions of Eternity specs will get one nerf or another. Just Troubadour, I would suspect Troubadour is the one that doesn't get like a big nerf. It might still get a little bit of a touch with the, maybe with the invulnerability share, maybe. No, my burst combo. Oh, so sad. It's okay. It's okay. I feel like there should be builds for players that don't have the latest expansion. I mean, I have builds on my YouTube channel that have that. I actually have a video coming up that is, for example, not using Chantervals and Soto. Stuff like that. So I have builds that are, I try to prepare builds that are for multiple types of players that don't have all the expansions. So I try to do that. But I think it's ArenaNet doesn't make it easy. If the Visions of Eternity specs stay absolutely broken for like 3 months and the relics, for example, as well, it is a little bit hard for us content creators, build creators to come up with builds that are actually competing with that if you don't have the newest expansion. Yeah. I'm struggling to get past tier 3 through LFG. Am I unlucky or is that just a common thing? So tier 3 in Fractals is one of the hardest parts in the entire game to get through, because this is exactly where the difficulty in Fractals slowly starts to ramp up, but the experience of the players that you normally find there is not high enough to actually get that. So I would recommend to find groups that are trying to push through it in one go, and then you are done. Because you want to get into the tier 4. Tier 4 is you have better players and the difficulty is not that much more. So you can just have a way easier time. So I personally would say get through it, and everybody has that problem in the first time. The tier 3 experience is horrible, and if you slowly get there and try to improve and get better and get through it fast as possible, then you will thank me later. I would say so. Yeah, everybody has that. Why is stability so rare these days in strikes? I think it's I don't even know at this point. I really don't know, because you know we have almost every class has access to stability nowadays. It's crazy. So you should have stability a lot. It's just I guess that people don't know when to press the button. I really don't know at this point. Maybe it's just because people don't know the mechanics of a fight either. That can also be the case. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think tier 3 is... The thing is, if you're lucky, Patricia, and you find really nice groups in the beginning, then it's not a big problem. Or if you know enough to carry. For example, if you play a healer, you can carry your groups through tier 3 into tier 4. But if you play a DPS build, where you have your carry potential is way lower, and at the same time you have not a good healer, or you don't even have any healer in your group, then you struggle. So I think you play a lot of healers and you know your way around that, and that's perfect. Then you have no issue getting through. But if you, for example, don't forget, Guild Wars 2 is a game that is mostly played by people that are casually playing Guild Wars 2. A lot of times, those are even people that never played any MMOs before, so they don't even know how that works, like with the healers and that kind of stuff. Then you have big difficulty understanding that and finding like it easy to play in with like groups that have to have some kind of rigid role composition. And I think that is definitely noticeable in fractals to get to higher fractal levels. That's why it might be easy for you, but might be hard for someone else. Yeah, don't give up. You will get there, and maybe I can help you out at some point as well. I like to help people, so that should help you. By the time I played fractals the first time, I just finished my Ascended Armor and instantly started D4. If you find a group for that, and if you have the ability to do so, because you need the agony resistance and you need the... Oh no, please give me stability. Yes, thanks. And we also you have to consider that you need to... How is it called? You need to find the fractal level. You need to get the fractal level up to the higher levels, because you cannot open a fractal that you haven't done the difficulty scale at or above yet. That's a little bit annoying. So if you find a person in your party that can open it for you, then it's fine. But if you don't, you cannot go to tier 4 instantly, even if you have the recommended agony instantly and ascended gear. What names are shown on the PvP leaderboard? The ones that have the highest rating. I do play healer, but it takes 40 minutes to kill a boss. Ooh, then your DPS in your party is bad. That's not your fault then. Maybe try to find, you know, the thing is, if you want to carry your group, oftentimes you have to adjust. So sometimes if you already have a healer in the party, that can happen, then you should swap to DPS if you have the ability to do so, of course. Guild Wars 2 is really annoying in that regard. You don't have a role system for queuing. So that means that people sometimes for quick play or for tier 3, where you don't have clear role like calling at the beginning of a fight, it's people just sometimes join as like with the worst builds possible, and then you just don't get it done. It's really sad. Yeah. Is Core Engineer viable? It is viable. It has actually a good DPS build in PvE, and it has decent builds for roaming and PvP as well. Yes, it's one of the core builds that is viable. It's not like meta, but it's viable. Yeah. I have a guild. I actually have a guild, so you can join my Syrma Gaming Community Guild if you want. You just have to write me in-game in Discord or just whisper me and stuff. You can be invited at any time. Yeah, exactly. Content creators like you keep the game going. I mean, that's awesome to hear. I hope we have more people enjoying my stuff that much. That's good. Glad to hear that. Don't die, please. Don't die here. Good, we didn't have anybody die yet. That's nice. I was like yesterday, I was in a really, like, it was probably the worst group that I have ever been in, like at least for sure this year and maybe even the last year as well. I had a group that was like, we didn't, I think we got Bone Skinner at like, we had like only 3 people at the end or 4 people at the end of Bone Skinner. Like most people died and they didn't want to reset. It was so bad. It was really, really bad. I was really, really scared of this group, to be honest. But it's okay. We still got it done. Guild Wars 2 PvE is not the hardest. What's the most needed, least played roles in fractals and strikes? I don't know. Probably heal. But there are a lot of people that enjoy playing heal. So it's not all like nobody wants to play that. I, for example, like to play heal the most. Ooh, that's a lot of damage. You see, I'm quick DPS and I'm like almost top DPS. It's actually quite funny. If you play the classes quite well, you have like no problem like being top DPS. You just have to play well and understand the fights. And that's the same for fractals. Just wanted to mention that here. Overall, as long as people do the mechanics to it, goes really fast and smooth. Yeah, I think fractals are like, fractals is the first part where an open world player actually notices that if you know mechanics, you will have a way easier time than if you don't know the mechanics. It's the first time where you notice that. Because in open world, if you don't understand a mechanic, there will probably be someone else that does the mechanic for you. But in fractals, sometimes it's just not possible, or you will just pull your group down. And that's why fractals, especially at tier 3 and tier 4, it is noticeable when the party doesn't know everything. Has info on the upcoming balance patch been released? No, we just have the preview of the changes to the older specs. We don't have the changes to Visions of Eternity specs yet. We will have to see. If they don't implement it with the raid quick lane, they are trolling. I'm not sure if the role system with quick play is possible for them. I think they might have the quick play like Fractals, and then they will do it at a later point. I'm not sure. I would hope that they would do some kind of role system if it's possible, but I'm not sure if they can implement it yet. Yeah. Yep, quick heal Firebrand is actually like a really good one. It's a good build to carry if you know your way around pressing all the buttons. It's really good, yeah. This year as in 2026 or this year as in 25? It was actually meant to be as a joke. Yeah, it obviously it was the worst group this year because it was 10 days only or something. Yeah, sure. But it's always fun to me that that we have groups that actually not get like gold rewarded Bone Skinner, but we missed like we did get like barely silver. So that was scary, very scary for me. No, I think Bone Skinner is not the hardest strike. It's the hardest Icebrute Saga strike, maybe, but it's not the hardest strike in general. I think like Harvest Temple is harder for most people because there is not that much healing pressure, but there are mechanic pressures, and that's like I said the same for Fractals. If you have people that don't know the mechanics, that can be instantly a big problem. For Bone Skinner, you just need a competent healer. That's it. I'm still missing Killing Doom CM. Yeah, I mean that can be a bit hard to find a group, but it's a nice CM. It's one of my favorite CMs. Last question, is Shahai Plus worth to get as a standalone episode for farming volatile magic? I think it's decent, but it's not. I'm not sure if it's worth it as a standalone one. I think in general it's better to get the whole bundle of Living World, and then you have Dragonfall as well, which is way better for farming gold. The sidebar, so this one, to see how much damage you have, you need to get the Arc DPS add-on. I have a setup guide on my YouTube channel, Arc DPS setup. You can also go to my website. It's the easier way to finding all the videos like that. And you will be able to see how to set it up, how to make it look nice and stuff like that. So be sure to check out my website. Link is in the description, or if you're on Twitch, you can type !website. Everything in one place without any ads. Just released it. Just want to make some safe promotion here, but it's an awesome tool in my opinion. Practice become more fun when people use their brains. Exactly. And I think any content in Guild Wars 2 becomes more fun if you have people that actually know what they're doing. At least for me, that is. Will we have to go to the wiki again to read the patch notes? So I expect that we will get patch notes posted on the forums and the wiki. Yeah. DPS, quick elect heal. Yeah, that is a good title. Yeah, I like Harvest Temple. It's one of my favorite strike missions because it's very unique. Will I have trouble finding proof if I play Guardian, Necromancer, or Ranger? No. Guardian is the most played class in the entire game, so that's just a fact. If you look at the statistics, that's the most played class, and you will not find. You will always find a group, like always. It doesn't matter which class you pick, and especially as the ones that you mentioned, you will always find a class. It is more dependent on your build and your group that you're looking for, but you will always find a class, like a group for that, always. Hardest contest is anything. You have to jump over something. Yeah, exactly. You know, you have to jump in the cold water. That's it. I've been buying episodes here and there, and I have the big gold farming episodes. That's why I asked. Yeah, I think if you have the big ones, then it's probably not worth it. I think Chahai Bluffs is only there for the Death Branded Shedder. That's the only one. There's one boss that you do, and it's not even a good gold farm. It's more like you have the chance of getting an infusion. So I think it's not. You can skip that one without too much. Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to read. Yeah, I mean that's the biggest problem in Guild Wars 2, just in general in our society. You struggle to read. I have that problem as well. Sometimes I'm going to the wrong side here on this encounter here because I just read the chat instead of the chat in game. I have to okay, the commander put it here like 4 times, so I have to go to the commander. So ice. That's good to know. But I will forget until then and again. So yeah, reading is hard. I have Aurora and Vision and would love to get Coalescence as well, but I've never done raids. Do you think Coalescence will be achievable via the quick play? I doubt it. I actually doubt it. I think it's very unlikely that the quick play will give you legendaries other than the new raid ring. I think the new raid ring is quite likely to be acquirable through the quick play, but I think they want you to ease to get into raids. I think they don't want you to only play quick play. So personally, I think it's a good place to start with quick play, but I think if you want to get Coalescence, you at some point have to do the normal mode raids. And a good place to get to know them is probably like getting to a Discord server and training there. Like for example, like Raid Training Initiative or Crossroads they are on EU. They also have, I think, an NA server equivalent. And then you should hopefully like have an easy time to get into there. But you should learn the raids like slowly. Raid is not something that I would say is for most players. Just jump in a pack group and you will clear it. Raids is a little bit more effort required. And I think if you want to get into that, that's fine. But if you don't like that, that's also fine. Just keep that in mind. But I highly doubt that the coalescence will be acquirable from quick play. I don't see it. I don't see it. Yeah, the website is nice. Yeah, I'm happy to see the positive like feedback to it. Yeah, I'm happy to hear that. Sure. I'm a new player to Guild Wars 2 and can't pick a profession. I like close, mid-range, flashy abilities, soloing, and no pets. I came from the World of Warcraft, Shaman, Outlaw, Rogue. Is Cutter Elementalist the closest, or Scrapper? Oh, that's like really tough to choose. So if you just give me the description what you like to play, like close to mid-range, flashy abilities, and soloing and no pets, then I would say the best class that comes to mind is probably Guardian. Like Luminary, Guardian in general, it's very flashy, has some kind of like holy paladin vibes, but it's melee combat mostly, mid-range a little bit, has a lot of flashy abilities and is really good at soloing. But is it somewhat similar to a shaman and a rogue? Maybe some people that played a lot of World of Warcraft can give you a recommendation here. But I personally, I don't see that much. I don't know, it's really hard. Guild Wars 2 has a completely different class design than World of Warcraft has. So for example, a lot of people ask me, what kind of class should I play if I'm Rogue and Shoyer? Then often Thief comes to mind, but it has a completely different playstyle in like PvE than you would expect. It's just an assassin. I don't know. Hard. Really hard. Yeah, exactly. Dyslexia gaming. Exactly. Yeah. Can you point out a good offensive support overall to make it a main? I would say like quick DPS, like Chronomancer is probably one of the best ones to pick. It's really flexible. You can play quick DPS or alacrity DPS. You have really good DPS. You have good utility. Just awesome. Yeah. Shaman is Enchi for sure. Yeah. Okay. So people say it's apparently Enchi. If you like that kind of playstyle, then I guess Scrapper is probably the best bet that you already mentioned. Yeah. If that's the case, you know, I have not played Rogue in World of Warcraft, so I don't know how it feels. But if that's the case, then yes, Scrapper is probably your best bet. Yeah. All classes are similar to Druid or Shaman in WoW? Really? I mean, I don't know. I have, like I said, I have not played WoW that much, so I cannot tell you all the classes, how they are looking and what they do. But I just know even the classes that have a rather similar design are not like perfectly, so to say, equivalents in PvE or at least in Guild Wars 2. Yeah. I know it's a very different class design. I'm drawn to Elementalist design, but I know they are super high APM to play with. Yeah, I mean, I can showcase a little bit of Elementalist in a second when I'm done with this here, but I think Elementalist is a class that can be played as lower APM as well. So if you want to play with a lower APM as well, I think it's possible. I just think it might not be the class fantasy that you expect. Elementalist is really like the classical mage, battle mage kind of fantasy. I'm not sure if that's exactly what a rogue would expect. Yeah. Yeah. Do you have a favorite class spec for each game mode? It changes weekly. So the answer is no. I like every single week I have a different class that I like to play the most. Like currently I like to play Paragon on PvE, but next week it might be like Gale Shot like I'm currently playing. It really is like it's heavily dependent on the time and mood of the day. Yeah. Is it worth doing more than one time the world bosses Dragonstorm per day? I would say no. I would say do it once per day and you get the most amount of value. If you do it more, then you just get like way less loot. So don't do it once. Yeah, you can only get the chest once. Yeah. Do you typically add viewers and play with them? Yeah, I wouldn't say all the time, but if you have a specific, like if I'm looking for a group, then yeah, sure. Then people can join if they know what you're doing. Yeah, sure. Play Tempest is the chillest elite Elementalist spec. Yeah, I think Tempest is by far the spec that has the lowest APM because you have a rather long cast, like a 2-second cast window, and then you cast some spells, then you have again 2 seconds of cast. So Tempest is like the lowest APM spec for Elementalist. But even there you have some attunement swaps in there typically, so it's not a spec that I would recommend to a player that just wants to press one button every minute. That's just not Elementalist. Yeah. I'm not after the mage type. Enhanced Shaman is a close to mid-range that is basically a melee mage. Yeah, I mean, if you're not into a mage, then Elementalist is definitely not the case for you. I'm not saying Elementalist has to be played as a mage, but you always have somewhat of this mage feeling because you have like 4 attunements. And that means that you swap around attunements and summon their elements. That's just, you always have a little bit of this mage feeling. Even though you can be in melee and play some kind of like battle mage, it is, in my opinion, definitely noticeable that it's still this mage fantasy. Yeah. Yeah, Daredevil is... I don't like recommending Daredevil to rogue players because the class fantasy is the same as a rogue, I would say. But I think what the person asked for was some kind of like solo capabilities, was something that is like a bit more beefy, I would say, not only something that is very evasive and if you get hit you die instantly, because Daredevil is exactly that. Daredevil is something that is not bruisery at all. Daredevil is more like an assassin that is not stealthy, just evasive. And if that's not what you like, then I wouldn't recommend it. I think that's why it's really hard for a WoW player to look at Thief and say, that's the rogue. Because Thief is way more evasive than it is, so to say, something that is like close combat all the time. Hope that makes sense. Yeah. I love Spectre and PvP, but it's challenging. Do you like Spectre PvP world versus world? Yeah, I think Spectre is really fun. Spectre is my favorite Thief elite spec, and it's the problem with Spectre for me is that you have to commit a lot of time to get good at it, and I'm not as good at it, especially in competitive modes, so I don't play it that often, but I like it a lot. I think it's a really cool class design. Yeah. Hydrate, good point, good point. Thanks. Dragon Hunter, I haven't looked at that one. I'll take a look at that one. Dragon Hunter is a spec that is very about, how can I say? Dragon Hunter is a spec that is flashy and has more of a range component to it as well. It's a fun spec, but it's not like I would say it doesn't fit your, typically like, it doesn't fit rogue. I wouldn't say that. What's your favorite race? I don't have, I wouldn't say it's Asura. I play all the races, but most of the times I play, you know, I don't play for the race. I don't care that much about the race. I play humans in PvE, I play Sylvaris in PvP, and I play Asura in World vs. World. The other 2 races, I just have characters, but I don't really play them. Wait, do I not have gear? What? Interesting. But yeah, so I don't really care about the race too much. I think human is my favorite race, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, I think Scrapper is probably your best bet, as people here pointed out. I think that seems to be the best like middle ground here. Yeah, yeah. Now, I think RNG Antiquary is not... I wouldn't recommend it to a new player. I think it can be fun, but I think it's too challenging to be fun in the beginning, and I think that's not a good like middle ground. I think Scrapper is a good middle ground because it's easy to get into and can be played as the high level while also filling the fantasy that you want to fill. At least for me, that is. There was a player, but what are they playing? Oh, it's good. No, it's CC chain. So let's kill them, and then we can answer more questions in chat. Half my screen is blocked. No, stop it. There we go. Gotcha. Come on. There we go. And capture the camp, and then I guess we go to EB. G and see what's going on there today. It's kind of hilarious that Snowcross benched the Fire Camp low intensity Weaver build just for the lulz and get 42k out of it. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is you have to understand that the players at Snowcross are really good. Like a normal player would probably not get 42k on Weaver, even if they like try hard it for 1 hour. I think it's Weaver is a hard class, and especially like those fire camping builds to get to the high benchmarks is actually not that easy. I really think so. People underestimate how hard those builds can be. Yeah. Yeah, 70 characters is a lot. That is true. Yeah. Vindicator could be worth a try, but Guardian can play as a melee ranged fire build. Yeah, I think, to be honest, for most players, it's probably better to go Guardian. Guardian is such a safe pick. Revenant is a really fun pick, but I think most players probably enjoy Guardian more. It's just a class, it's just, people like it a lot. Like, it's one of the favorite specs that of all time in Guild Wars 2. It has the highest player population for a reason. Yeah. Yeah, I think anti-query for me, I don't get anti-query design either. I'm with you there, Asuna. I think for me, anti-query is like on paper, you don't have to give it this random element and it would still be interesting, but the random element can be so frustrating, like so frustrating. So where are our like people here? Oh, they are in the middle. Okay, yeah, good to know. Now they captured it without me. Oh no. I just started playing a Soul Beast, Power in PvE, Poison Beast in World vs. World in PvP. I really like it, but some people say it's not that good. What do you think? I think they are wrong. I think like in PvE, Soul Beast is really good, like really good. If you play it as a power DPS, it's just one of the best out there. And if you play Poison Beast in World vs. World in PvP, I think it's I would say an A-tier build. It's not like a build that I would say is like absolute meta, but it's not bad either. So if you like the playstyle, go for it. It's definitely not bad. It's far from being bad. In PvE, it's S tier. So I think they are wrong if they say it's bad. Yeah. But in practice, it's bad because in a certain situation, you want to have abilities with random, you might not get it. Exactly. It's like on paper, this random element can work, but in real fights, nah, it doesn't work that well. Is it possible to play Condi with Staff on Scourge in open world play? Yes, you can play a Celestial Staff Scourge. Yes, that works. Yes. What is the lowest Ecto price you have ever seen? I think that was at some point like 16 silver or something. Is it like there already? Maybe it's there already. I think it's like falling like crazy. No, it's not there yet. But I think the lowest was 16 silver at some point. That was insane. To be honest, I think for me, Ectos, the higher the Ecto price, the more fun I have, because that means that when I get rare gear, I actually enjoy it. Now it feels like rare gear is not worth that much anymore. So I hope they make some gold sync with Ectos again. At least for me, that would be my hope there. I'm currently on, which team am I? Grand Store. Grand Store, that's the current team. Yeah, welcome, Absolute, welcome. Yeah, I'm on a U currently. I'm playing on a U. Thanks, Miller's Edge. Really appreciate the Prime. Thanks for your support. Hope you're enjoying the stream. It's hard to suggest since I have one of each specs and or play all specs. Don't have the perspective of someone that plays one or only two characters. Yeah, I think Guild Wars 2 can be a little bit like if you play all the classes, you have a completely different perspective than someone that plays only one class or two classes. So I would say the best tip that I can give you is try to nice hype train. Let's keep it going. Ooh, don't die here. No, I'm dying here. No, they got us. It's not good. They are close squad. Thanks, Henry. Really appreciate the Prime. Thanks. Really appreciate it. Let's keep the hype train going. Nice, Jimmy. Thanks a lot. Nice. So much like support. Really appreciate it. And I died for it, but it's okay. I really wanted to get in the squad, but I guess they are like a Discord squad, so I can't get in there. Yeah. That's the thing in Guild Wars 2. You can play everything as soon as you understand your class. Exactly. I think that's the problem. As a new player, you will have a completely different experience than someone that actually understands how you should play your class. It's just really hard to compare that. Yeah. Where can the best builds be found for T4 fractals? I would say Discretize is still being somewhat up to date. So Discretize website is the best one for fractals. But you can also like just go to my website and find really good PvE builds there as well if you are looking for build videos specifically. But if you're only looking for a specific guide for like, for example, like how to play Soul Beast in Fractals, then that's Discretize right now. If you don't want to respond, just ignore, but I want to know if you spend money on the game, and if yes, how much. If you don't feel comfortable, just ignore me. No, don't worry. So I played Guild Wars 2 since like 12.5 years ago. And I only spent money on the expansions. Like the money that I spent on Guild Wars 2 is exclusively for the expansions. I didn't spend any money on my account here for other than the expansions. It really is all of my value that I have on my Guild Wars 2 account is played in the game. Yeah. My least favorite profession overall is probably, it's hard to rate. It's probably Thief. Because I think Thief for me is the only spec that I like a lot is Spectre. And all the others I think are mediocre to me. So if Spectre didn't exist, it would absolutely be Thief. But Spectre exists, so it's really unfair to say I don't like Thief. You know, I really like Spectre. I think Spectre is my favorite medium armor profession. Like, I don't know. It's hard. It's really hard to come up with like the least favorite one. Yeah. Snowbleach, you're correct to some extent. There is actually one guy that is still updating this stuff. There is one guy that is still updating this stuff. So it's somewhat correct that they are not updating it that much anymore, but they are still somewhat working on it. Somewhat. Yeah. I'm agreeing with you. I prefer reliability, as you said, and randomness makes stuff more complicated. I think if you make the randomness only be somewhat of a skill expression element so that you can get always the same numbers, but you have to understand which buttons to press all the time, then I think it's a little bit different. But in the current antiquary state, it feels like if you just don't have the right numbers, then you will just not, or like right skills to come up, it's not good. I think that's a bit of a problem. I'm not the biggest fan of antiquary design, to be honest. I just mention it every time, but it's not every elite spec has to be for everybody. I just accept that. So that's okay. That's okay. There we go. I always convert my gold to gems. Like my only thing how I get the gem store items is by converting gold to gems. I play enough of the game to get enough gold to make that happen. Yes. I bought like at some point 50 character slots at once with gold to gem conversion. So I know what I'm talking about. I did that a lot. Yeah. I think Hammer Ref is, in competitive modes, Hammer Ref isn't that bad. You know, in my video, I stated at the beginning, I think, that I mainly focus here on the PvE. So I made a video about what weapons I would rework, and I focused mainly on the PvE aspect. And I think Hammer in PvE is like one of the worst weapons. And even in competitive modes, Hammer is one of the weapons that is like rather like lackluster. It's not like horrible. People like it if you want to play some defensive setup. But I think the auto attack, for example, is like, it's just rather bad. And especially the 2 skill, the aiming of it is so bad. It really is. So I don't know. I think they have to take a look at Hammer. I'm actually glad that Syrma popped off. This guy is one of the most knowledgeable people I've encountered in Guild Wars 2. I mean, so glad to hear that. Yeah, so glad you think so. Yeah, really nice, kind words. It's really impressive that you don't buy all your gems stuff without money. I spent to buy some stuff. I mean, it's completely fine. I think you have to understand, if you play the game a lot, you get also a decent amount of gold, and you can spend it on the gem store, for example. But if you don't have that much time playing the game, then it's completely fine to say, okay, I still want to get some stuff done in the game, so I spend a little bit of real money to get some convenience. I think that is completely fine. I think that's not a negative. I just say I don't really need that because I play the game a lot and I have enough gold income, so to say, for the stuff that I want. And I played the game over the last 10 years, so that's also something to consider. Is there a way to see which boss I've already completed in a day? Sadly not, Henry. It's a little bit sad in Guild Wars 2 that there is not a real clear tracker of that. But with the upcoming patch, we will get a tracker of that. We have a screenshot of the UI that they will add with the unifying of strikes and raids, and you will then see a checkbox which boss you actually completed already. Yeah. The balance patch will drop on Tuesday. Tuesday will be the balance patch. Do we know what's the next Wizards World Legendary kit? No. It will probably it could be a different generation, but I think it will stay generation 1. I think that's quite likely. And I also think that it's quite likely that we will only see that on the day when the patch goes live, like February 3rd. That's when we know which thing it is. I would be very surprised if they would announce it beforehand. Yeah. Syrma has only one weakness, reading. I guess that's true. That's true. I spend a lot of my gems on those stupid mount skins. Yeah, I don't have that many mount skins. I have like 5 or so that are actually, and I really, the thing is, I'm not a fashion enjoyer, so I get one skin that I like and I equip that one, and that's it. And that is, I know a lot of people spend stuff on mount skins and stuff like that. I don't have that. I don't care about that, so I don't have them. But you can watch my entire account tour. I have like a 1-hour account tour on my YouTube channel that I did at the end of last year, so 2025 account tour. If you want to see what I have, what I don't have, and I explain how I got it as well. So if you're really interested in that kind of stuff, you can watch that. So I don't bore people here on stream that actually want to talk about the game, not about my account. Yeah. Is there news about Luminary getting nerfed? I think I would be very surprised if Luminary wouldn't get nerfed. So we don't have any news yet. But yeah, it's very likely that it will get nerfed. Yeah, I agree with you. Time is money. You spend either way. Exactly. That's why I think it highly depends what you like more. If you want to farm money in real life or if you farm gold in game. Yeah, that's what it depends. Yeah, what you like more. I can link it to you if you want to play what's next. I mean, the Legendary Starter Kit. Really, is it already confirmed or is it just like suspicion? Because I think it's not like guaranteed that we know what it will be. Can you explain what means Generation 3 or Generation 1 Legendary? So the Generation 1 Legendaries are the ones that we got from the base game. Yeah. So like, for example, Eternity, Sunrise, those Legendaries are from the base game. If you want to get Legendary Generation 3, for example, that would be the Oreen ones. They came out with End of Dragons. So it's like... Now there are 2 people here on me. Let's see if we can win this. Probably not. Yeah, this is a ranged Vindicator. Not a good thing to play against. No, not gonna work. Yeah. So I can showcase this. Give me a second. So Generation 1 Legendaries would be something like Sunrise. Yeah, this is a Generation 1 Legendary. And Generation 3 Legendary would be all of the Oreen ones. Yeah. And then is the Generation 2 Legendaries came with Heart of Thorns and Path of Fire. And they cannot be sold in the trading post. And those are more like, so to say, I would say a little bit harder to get and a little bit more expensive. But they also have somewhat nice skins, some of them at least, yeah. So I hope that makes more sense now. Yeah, see you. Thanks for joining. Nice. Yeah, I mean, it's true. I mean, that shaman has a very cool like way of finding out some stuff. That's true. Yeah. But I mean, I wouldn't trust it. Sometimes they change some stuff, but I guess they are very unlikely to do so. And sad. Where are they all? And I don't see them. It's so sad that they have a private squad. That's a little bit sad. I really wanted to play some Zerg now, but if they don't show, I will not find them. Oh, so sad. Yeah. Look at the wiki for legendary weapons. It's all listed by generation. Exactly. Yeah, they're bullying me. That's so mean. Yeah, I mean, that was obviously if you play a bruiser build, or I'm playing a more squishy build, and you fight against 2 people that have bruiser builds, it's quite unlikely that you win. And they were decent players as well. Yeah. Okay, I guess we can. No, the commander is up. Nice. I see the commander. Very good. Default glider. Yeah, it's fine. It doesn't matter, Fuji, where you are. Yeah, it's like it's like the irony, you know, someone that has like insane amount of like skins unlocked, all the legendaries in the game, and losing the default gliders again. It's like the irony, because I don't care, you know. I don't care about this look. I change my character's look like once and then never again. And oftentimes I'm even too lazy to do it once. So I just use the default stuff. That's the irony here. It's just, I like to collect stuff. I don't like to create fashion. Yeah, it's so weird. Yeah. So if someone posts something like we have here on YouTube with this weird brackets, that's an in-game link. You just post it in the Twitch in the in-game chat, and that will not display as this link, but it will display as the item, as the actual item. There's a whole like wiki page that explains how this works and how this functions, but that's the idea behind it. Is it any sense to play roaming? Zerg is better? Zerg is way better. Yeah, Zerging is like, for the raw rewards, Zerging is way better. Way better. But so roaming can be fun, you know, and in World vs. World, even as a roamer, you will still get some gold. It's not like you get no gold at all. It will take a while to get the same level, but you get something, yeah, because of the pips, because of how the pip system works. There are a decent chunk of players here. That's not good. Almost got the juke, but now I will die for it. That's okay. I wanted to teleport back up, but not gonna work. It's really sad that I can't get to my Zerg. I didn't know where the wall was open. Okay, let's do this once more. This time we get it. One outfit for every class? Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I really want to do some kind of fashion stream where we like just have look at all my characters and look at them, and you can vote for stuff that I will equip. Hopefully you have some nice voting and not like some really weird fashion looks, but I guess we will do it. Yeah. Different people spend different amount of time looking at their own characters. Syrma focuses on what he's doing. Yeah, I think it's not only that. I agree that this is probably the main reason that I like to invest time into my gameplay rather than my looks. But for me, it's like, if I find a look that I like, why would I change it? You know, it's not like I dislike it at some point anymore. For me, it's like I have one look that I like, and then I will just leave it because the look is still fine, you know. Don't have to waste time on something that I already did once. So it's more like, this is the mindset. It's not a healthy mindset for people that enjoy fashion wars, but for me, I just engage with the stuff that I like doing, like World vs. World or like fractals or whatever instead. Yeah, exactly. How could I get in there now? Did they go through the main gate? Probably not. Oh, maybe. Yes, they did. Okay, I found the first entrance. Where's the second one? But yeah, if you have any questions, okay, it's not here. Where's the second entrance? Okay, we have someone that lies here. That's good. We can at least get a kill. That's good enough for me. Oh my god, there are so many people all the time. Okay, let's do it like that. Different, yeah. I mean, like I was mentioning, if you're a new player and want to have any like insights, I hope I can help. Just ask something, you know. I'm always, don't be shy. If you think it's a stupid question, just ask, you know. It doesn't matter. I will try to answer it. I cannot promise you that I know it, but I will try. Angel Wings, human female, Eternity, and Glory Infusion. It's like the classic Guild Wars 2 human female enjoyer. Yeah, something like that. I'm not a big, like, I don't want to have like insane amount of infusions and that kind of stuff, because for me it's like, I like to see my character. I don't want to be a walking glob of flashiness, but I know some people like that, or quite a lot of people like that. But I personally am not the biggest like crazy infusion enjoyer in that regard. We will see. Maybe we get an infusion rework at some point, and I might be more interested in that. Maybe at some point. Okay, we have some RAMs. I'm using an MMO mouse, yes. I have it linked in the Twitch description if you want to see what exactly it is. But I personally use an MMO mouse because I have a lot of characters, keybinds bound to a lot of important stuff. For example, looking back, or like turning my character 180 degree, like having my 0 to 6 buttons bound to my mouse, stuff like that. So I have that, yes, but it's not like necessary. I know people that play the game without any of that. That's completely fine as well. I think in general, Guild Wars 2 can be played with an MMO mouse very well, but you don't need it. That's the nice part about it, I would say. What is your world versus world level? It's almost 5k, so it's like not high at all. It's for a veteran, it's very low actually. 5k is quite low. I want to push for like 10k at some point. Maybe I get this like in 1-2 years, but for now I'm at the middle of the road. Yeah. Are we getting quick play raid at the same time as the balance patch? No, the quick play raid will happen on the 3rd of February, whereas the balance patch will happen on Tuesday. So this upcoming week. The quick play you will have to wait 3 more weeks. We might get a small balance adjustment at the quick play release as well, but I doubt it actually. Do we already know if Alacrity Amalgam is getting nerfed? I would be very surprised if it doesn't get nerfed. I would be very surprised. Because it's just really good right now. Like, really good. So, where did they go? So sad, they just instantly disappeared again. I really wanted to stick with the squad to some extent. I use about face quite regularly, yeah, especially in PvP. You know, you can make some really funny jukes. You can jump around and then like do like this about face. Like, it's a really underrated thing to do in competitive modes. It's not like the only thing you should do, but it's definitely a little bit useful in circumstances where you might be like want to outplay or like chased and stuff like that, but also like just turning around, hitting skills that you are not supposed to hit. I think about face is a really good keybind for people that actually want to get like even more high level with their gameplay. Yeah. Yeah, I think Tritop needs some help. I agree. I'm thinking of making my first legendary weapon. Is Generation 1 or Generation 3 easier to get? It depends. If you like the core map exploration, then Generation 1 is definitely easier to get. If you want to like just buy it, both of them are quite easy. I personally would go for Generation 1 if you're a rather new player, because it just provides more it's easier to get in general. Generation 3 is easier for a veteran player, I would say. But yeah, both of them are actually quite easy. It's not like they are hard. It's just Generation 1 has the starter kit, which is obviously a huge value that you can get there. Huge value. Is tap targeting superior than Action Bar? I mean Action Cam? I think it's better. Action Cam has some drawbacks. You can play it very well, but if you have Action Cam, for example, I switched to Action Cam. Yeah, so now I'm Action Cam. And if I now want to use my Focus 4, yeah, which is a ground targeted skill, I actually have to look at exactly this position, yeah, to cast it, which can be a bit annoying. Sometimes you just are not able to do that. You can play an Action Cam. You can see that here. It works, yeah. It's not like horrible. But I would rather have like so that I can look there and cast my ground targeted skill up there while I was running or something. And that's really hard to do in Action Cam. That's why I think Action Cam is working. You can make it work, but it's not something that I would say is like the best way to play the game. Which do you think is the best legendary weapon in terms of design? I really like Eternity. I think it's just such an old school, really good look. I like Eternity a lot, but I think there are a lot of different ones that I like a lot, so I would not say this is the only one that I think is the best. Yeah, I think if you play a lot of PvP, you'll use the about Phase Keybind a lot. If you don't play PvP or World vs. World, I think then it's a little bit weaker. Is that a power conduit? It looks like one. Gotcha. Oh no, I didn't kill. Oh, I did kill with my burst. Very good. There we go. Can I create a guild and use its banks for my other alt? Yes, you can do that. You can do that. But you have to understand that you have to capture the guild hall as well and all that stuff. So it's actually way harder nowadays to get value out of your guild for just your own guild bank than it was in the past. In the past, you just created a guild and you could like get it almost instantly unlocked. Now you have to actually do guild missions and all that kind of stuff solo. And that's way more annoying than it used to be. So I would say for most players, it's not worth it. Yeah. Welcome, Bosco. Welcome, welcome. My weekend is good. Hopefully yours is good as well. Welcome to the stream. Generation 1, the problem is the clovers. Yeah, I mean, in general, like, clovers can always be a problem for players. But for new players, I would say Generation 1 is probably the best thing to start with, because you just have to complete the map exploration and then you are done, or halfway done, because you get so much stuff from the Legendary Starter Kit. So that's really nice. For the Generation 3, you just have to invest all the gold. You don't get help at all. That's the difference there. Yeah. Guild favor, that's it. That's how it's called exactly. So you need to farm stuff alone, which is doable. It's not horrible, but it's something that you might not expect that you need to do. So I personally would say, for me, it's something that I did like. I have like 2 or 3 guild banks just for storage, and I did that in the past, and it's really good. But I would say for new players or players that join now, I think it's way more annoying to get than I did in the past. So yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I can recommend that nowadays anymore. I like Binding of Ippos. Yeah, it's really good. Binding of Ippos, or however it's pronounced, is really cool. It's a really good looking skin. It's like this pink, purple, glowing, like, hand or whatever it is, and this book in front of you. It's really unique. It's a really unique skin. Yeah. And do you think that we will get any information regarding the next expansion? Oh, that is a really tough question. I was hoping to get like some kind of roadmap in January. That was my hope. I don't know if that will come true. I expect that with the February update that we will get some kind of update. So my guess here, my educated guess, is that we get like 2 blog posts or something before the February update, which will tell us how the quick play will function, which will tell us how the fashion templates will function, something like that. And then on the 3rd of February, when the patch goes live, I expect to be some kind that there will be some kind of roadmap for the next 3 months. And maybe, hopefully, they will give us some kind of expansion announcement. But it could be true that they will delay it as long as possible and make the announcement in August, at the end of the Visions of Eternity finale. That could be true as well. So those 2 would be my choices, February or August. That's where I would expect. That's where I would expect them. Mendons, okay, yeah. Okay, I guess we're going there. But I have no more information than you do, so I cannot give any like inside information there. Yeah. Do you feel like roaming is inferior to Zerging? Yes, I think Zerging is giving you more loot. But if you like roaming and if it's fun to you, then it's not inferior. Fun is the most important aspect of this game. So if you enjoy roaming and it's fun to you, then it's not inferior. But if you're just talking about the loot, I would say it is, yes. Because it's just like roaming, it just provides less bags, and that means you get less loot. That is just the case there. Where are they? We are looking for the enemies. Okay, there are some of them. Wow. Like 3 people? Okay, a couple more. As a PvP player, I sold a full stack of clovers yesterday because they filled my inventory. Yeah, I mean, if you play a lot of PvP and World vs. World, you have a lot of clovers. And they are count bound. So that is definitely something that is like, you will have a lot of them if you play a lot. But if you only play PvE or if you craft all the legendaries, then it can be a bit of a drain. You know, I play a lot of World versus World or even more PvP. Yeah, I play a lot of that. But I still have, obviously I also have all the legendaries, but I still don't have like insane amount of Mystic Clovers. Yeah, so it's just like, if you use it for legendaries and if you craft all the legendaries, then it will at some point run dry, I think. There is almost no player that has all the legendaries and has like thousands of Mystic Clovers lying around. Mystic Clovers is always something that is either you use it a lot or you have way too much of them. There is almost no middle ground, I would say. Do you think people will lean into Firebrand and Druid instead of Chrono just after the nerfs? I think Firebrand, yes. Druid, no. Druid doesn't get nerfed. It doesn't get really big buffs. So I think Druid is a little bit in a spot where you use it in raids because of its utility. So you have like knockbacks, you have like a lot of pets that you can swap, stuff like that. But if you are looking at, for example, the usability in Fractals, I think Druid will stay really bad in Fractals. Yeah, so I think Firebrand is to be like a big winner of the nerfs to Chronomancer. In general, all the healers seem to be a big winner of the nerf to Chronomancer, but don't get me wrong, I still think Chronomancer is maybe the top healer after the patch. Maybe not for every piece of content, but I think for a lot of content, it's still top tier. So I think the nerfs are a little bit, people oversell the nerfs, I would say. It's a big nerf, but it's not like making this class unplayable. For legendaries, it's best to focus on doing other things that also help you towards it. Focus on the legendary itself is a great way to kill enjoyment. Yeah, I think you should take it slowly and try to play stuff that you actually enjoy, while also having some progress towards the legendary. Yeah. So if you, for example, want to get Gift of Battle, yeah, you should get Gift of Battle not in one session and play World vs. World for 5 hours straight. If you hate World vs. World, I would rather recommend to just try to get all the stuff that you want to get, while also to some extent get it slowly working. Like get Gift of Battle every now and then, get some pips there, get something there, maybe play if you can wait a bit during the rush. We get a World vs. World rush at the 20th of January, which will increase the speed that you get the Gift of Battle way faster, stuff like that. And that goes for all the parts of the legendary. So for me, it's always something that I would say, try to enjoy the game that you play and don't force too much of your enjoyment to go away by just getting something faster. I think that's not the smartest way. Which generation of legendaries would you say is the easiest to obtain? With the legendary starter kits, it's definitely generation 1. If you don't have the legendary starter kits, generation 3 is maybe a little bit easier, to be honest. Yeah, Mystic Coins are I think Mystic Coins are a rather interesting item in the game. It's like, it's always draining. Like, you never have enough of those, I feel like, and you cannot really farm them. So it's actually quite crazy in that regard, that they have not introduced any farms to Mystic Coins, even if that would be like a rather, like, maybe add them to, like, I don't know. There are so many ways where you could add them, but I don't know. They should just make a way to get them more reliably. Because if you want to farm them, you can do the line anomaly, and you can do some World vs. World like pips once a week, and that's about it. It's really crazy how little amount of like ways you have to get those. It's crazy. Is it worth getting these Ascended accessories in World vs. World? I would say it's worth it, yes, because they are also stat selectable. So I think they are quite good. I would say so, yes. As a returning player, I wonder all the thieves went in World vs. World. After reset, I saw like 2-3 of them. Yeah, I mean, I think thieves are just like very common in World vs. World. It's just what they do. World vs. World thieves. That's just typically like their hunting grounds. Yeah. Yeah, I think the open text is a big problem. You know, previously we had like a lot of open text. I think now it's like feeling like we don't have that many open text anymore. It's a little bit sad. It's actually quite sad. I think like that lost a lot of interest for like casual players that just want to join in World vs. World. If you want to like go try hard, its alliance system is quite good. But if you are like just open world player and want to play casual in World vs. World as well, yeah, you notice the difference. You do. Exactly. The gap between Chrono and the other healers is just a bit smaller. Exactly. Exactly. Then nerfed stealth builds heavily in World vs. World, so Thief players dropped. I mean, I think stealth in general is like a really toxic system in the game. So I think it's good if they nerf stealth down. Maybe Thieves will hate me for that, Thief mains. But I think stealth is such a toxic thing to have in a game as like having permanent stealth possibilities and stuff like that. I think that's just unhealthy for the game. So yeah, I hope they will never come back in a way that it's like meta. Yeah. What legendary trinket would you say is the best to go for first? Definitely the amulet. The free legendary amulet is really good because you will get a lot of value from that while not wasting any gold on it. So it's like just perfect. Just perfect in that regard. Yeah, exactly. It would be a good alternative to Actos. I like it this way, yeah. I have no roaming skills, so Zerg is the only way I can contribute when I occasionally dip into World vs. World. That's completely fine. I think there are so many ways to enjoy World vs. World. You just have to find the way that you like the most. Yeah. And if you don't feel like roaming is for you, then just play in a Zerg if you can find one. I'm looking here for one, but doesn't work apparently. What kind of evoker is that with the like fox? It's crazy. Crazy cook. Signet evoker with a fox. Okay. I mean, looks decent. No, doesn't look decent. I feel like Chronomancer just doesn't have the same amount of stability access as Guardian. It's mainly the CC, but that's getting nerfed too. I think Chronomancer is very flexible. You know, that's the big benefit of picking Chronomancer in a lot of cases is you are really flexible, and I think that will not go away. Like Chronomancer has like the ability to double cast almost anything, and that's really good. Yeah. Yeah, the World vs. World Rush will be really good. I'm really excited to that one. That will be... I'm really looking forward to that. Because it's like always a higher activity of World vs. World, and we get more loot. I mean, it's perfect. Yeah. I wouldn't say that the amulet from PvP or World vs. World... The legendary from PvP, the back piece is worth it. The World vs. World legendary is a lot of time investment. I'm not sure if that's the way you should play the game. There are a lot of players here, but we can try. No, doesn't look good. Nice, insta-death, very good. I think for me, I like to get the legendaries from PvP and World vs. World, but I think for a lot of players, especially the World vs. World legendary, is only worth to get if you like to play World vs. World a lot, because you need a lot of the tickets. So I have not that many tickets, and you need like thousands of them to get the legendary. So it's definitely a big time investment. Yeah, if you don't play World vs. World that much. Welcome Snowdrop, welcome to the stream. All legendaries are equal. It's the matter of what you play. Exactly. I think it's always preference and what you like. But I think in general, Generation 2 is generally considered one of the rather like more annoying ones to get than Generation 1 and 3. But that is of course somewhat a personal choice. Some people say Generation 2, I just have to stand at the crafting bench. I like that way more than if I would have to go and do a like quarterial map exploration. It's fine. Both of that is completely understandable. Do you even see yourself playing some PvP unranked with viewers? Would be super cool to play with you. I mean, yeah, I think unranked, I don't have any... to be honest, to some extent, I would also play ranked, but I have to be honest, I played ranked over the last 2 weeks and it was horrible. I didn't have fun at all. Ranked meta and just how oftentimes I get like really unbalanced matches, even though I'm playing ranked, so the rating would matter. It's horrible. So unranked, sure, I'm up with it. We can play that later if you want as well. I just play some unranked and you can join if you want, if you're up for it. But in ranked, I just don't like to play ranked at the moment. It feels really like annoying, even more than usual at least. I'm not a big fan. Yeah. But yeah, we will see. Maybe we can find a Zerg, if not, and we can play some unranked if you're up for it. Yeah. Almost every PvP match I have 2 or more luminaries. Yeah, exactly. I think it's like luminary like farming grounds. If you're not a luminary, then you have like to play against them all the time. Or even if you're luminary, you have to play against them all the time. I feel like luminary is such an like crazy pick right now. It's like support is really good, DPS is really good, and you see like at least like 2 per team. It's very not fun if you're not a Luminary enjoyer. Okay, they're up there again. That's good. Maybe we can contest it. Yeah, I really hope that the changes coming with like Tuesday's update make the PvP meta a bit more flexible again. Because right now it feels like if you don't play any Visions of Eternity specs, and even in there are only like 5 that are really good, then you are just getting farmed and you don't have that much enjoyment. I really hope that they will address that, because for me, one of the beauties of Guild Wars 2 is that we have so many flexibilities. Yeah, we can play what we like. We don't have to play this only the newest spec and stuff. But right now in PvP, it's exactly that. We only play the newest stuff. So I really hope we get that fixed. I really do. Besides gold and legendary mats, what is the good item to exchange in Astral Ward? I would say almost any item in there is good. There are just a couple of them that are actually bad. Like a few of them that I would recommend. Oh my god. Do I have the right gear? Yeah. So Astral Ward. Astral Wizard's World. So the only ones that I would not recommend are transmutation charges. Transmutation charges for PvE players only can be worth it. But I would say for most players, you will get them from PvP and World vs. World way more efficiently. Then I would recommend to never, ever get the Obsidian shards. They are so expensive for what you get. Please get them with Karma or playing PvP and World vs. World. Don't get the large crafting bags. They are the biggest scam in the entire thing. Don't get those, and don't get the Masterwork Essence of Luck. All of those, they are quite bad. But the others, you can get them. You know, that's why I have them as well. You know, so... So that's the short summary there. Yeah, I mean, Antiquary, luckily we don't have that at least that often. I think it's a very, very unfun spec to play against because it's so bunkery and really annoying to deal with. But luckily we see more Luminaries than Antiquaries. I think if I would see like 2 Antiquaries per match, that would be even worse than having 4 Luminaries per match. But that's what I meant, you know, it's like you're like choosing between 2 like really horrible things. So I personally I don't like the meta. That's the only thing that I can like repeat myself all the time. Yeah. Have you checked Discord yet? Someone needs to delete the spam. Oh, I haven't checked it yet. Yeah. I will check it after the stream. Do you think they should also remove the possibility to character swap before the start of a PvP match to prevent abuses? I think that is a really tough choice to make, because the problem is, if I play, for example, a PvP match and I queue up as, let's say, a Tempest, support Tempest, yeah? And then I get a support Luminary in my match. That would be really annoying to me, yeah? Like really annoying, because I cannot play, or we should not play in normal ranked matches 2 supports, yeah? So for me, that would be I would swap. I would swap to a Bruiser or like a DPS build or something, yeah? But if I would not be allowed to do that, the matchmaking has to be better. Because if they detect you are equipping like some kind of healing amulet or whatever, then you should not be queued up with someone that also has that. But I think the matchmaker is too bad for that. So I think the matchmaking has to improve to make that possible, which it doesn't. So in my opinion, I think it's very unrealistic that you should remove the swapping, because then you just lose a match. You know, if you have 2 supports in a ranked match, it's very unlikely that you win the match if you don't have like crazy DPS with you. So I think that is a little bit like, I agree, in an ideal world, you would have a really good matchmaker with a really good like system to improve like that you don't swap. But right now, yeah, not the case. Yeah, role queues in PvP would be really nice, but that's the same issue that we have with role queues that in PvE, if we would have that, is that we just don't know how we can make abusing not possible. You know, how would you make it so that you cannot abuse role queue and queue as something that you are not, or that you want to make your queue time faster or whatever? It's I think there are so many things to consider that I think ArenaNet is at this point is just scared to make changes. I think that's the biggest thing. They have limited resources and they are scared to make changes because they don't know if they actually work in the first place. Yeah. I don't know. It's really hard. Yeah, I think Guild Wars 2 PvP, even in lower levels, is not the fastest. And if you get to high levels like Platinum and even Legendary rating, you have queues that are like at least 5 minutes, sometimes even up to 10, 20 minutes if you're queuing at a specific off hour. It's really bad, like really, really bad. And that's not something that would improve with the role queue, not at all. So I don't know. I think Guild Wars 2 PvP at this point is more of a state that is not as healthy as it could be. Yeah, and I don't know if that will ever change. I think it seems to be a little bit out of reach. Yeah. Role queue would be cool, but there are not a lot of people playing PvP, so the wait time would be unbearable. Yeah, I think, to be honest, I would rather have... It's really hard, you know? Would you have a match that is like maybe some support stacking up and stuff like that? And 4 luminaries per match, and you can swap and you can get into the match with 5 minutes? Or do you want to have a perfect match every 20 minutes? I don't know. Both choices seem a little bit like not ideal. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It really is like ARAM. It really is Snowbleach. At this point, you really feel like the match is lost or won depending on what teammates you get. And that doesn't feel great. That doesn't feel great at all. At least for me, yeah. I don't know. I really don't know how to fix that. I really don't know. Yeah, that's true. That it would be really cool to have like surveys or just looking at the statistics and see what should be improved and stuff like that. I think they do. I really think they do. I think they have data about that stuff. But at the same time, I also think that it's really hard to... a survey is always biased. So if you ask any player, for example, what class would you buff? They would probably always say their main class. You know, not that many players that play all classes, or not that many players that are actually objective enough to say buff this class because it's underperforming, even though I don't play it. So I think its surveys can be really misleading. It's a big problem. How would you fix stuff like that? I have no clue. I have absolutely no clue. On the flip side, theoretically, that should also allow you to cut down on your queue time by playing the in-demand roles. If that works, then yes. But like I said, I think you would probably also abuse it to some extent. Welcome, Dash. Welcome, welcome. Following the Living World story with a couple of friends, but I wanted to get my elites back up and running. I got a taxi in PUF and did what I could to find without mounts. Are there zones in End of Dragons? Yes. End of Dragons is probably the easiest to get your... Visions of Eternity is also very easy. Those two, End of Dragons, Visions of Eternity, are the best expansions to get the hero points in PvE without like a big group or something. It's really, really easy to get them there. Especially Visions of Eternity doesn't even need masteries for the most part. So it's really easy to get there. End of Dragons as well. There are like a couple of them that you actually need to have. But most of them, you can just go there and communicate or kill like an elite mob. It's really easy. Yeah. Buff all the classes? I guess, yeah, most people would say that. That's true. That feels like that's why they probably don't listen to community as much, because a lot of people just want to have their own agenda and being buffed and not like the overall gameplay perspective. Yeah, Path of Fire is easy too, but it's locked often behind mounts and masteries. And End of Dragons and Visions of Eternity is not. That's the big difference there. That's the big difference. Yeah, I can also use a turtle mount, of course. That is true. That is true. Yeah, always happy to help, Dash. Turtle mount can help, but I think it's better to be able to do it alone. You know, I don't want to depend on my friend because they might not be there, or I want to do it faster or whatever. Then like Visions of Eternity and End of Dragons is really easy. You will be able to do it. It's not a big deal. And if you like World vs. World, you can also play World vs. World. Like that's the really interesting part. You can just go to the vendor in World vs. World. I will show you. And can do it there. So if you like World vs. World and have already a character set up and it's not your first character, then you can go to this guy, Heroics Notary, and you talk to them, and then you can unlock like Central Tier, Mastery Points, Maguma, so Heart of Thorns, Path of Fire, End of Dragons, and Visions of Eternity hero points. And that's obviously really like gives you a lot of like freedom. You don't have to play PvE to unlock stuff, which is quite nice. For me at least, as a veteran. Yeah. They should have had the courage to make experimental PvP changes right after esports C9. Yeah, I think in general they did a lot of mistakes with PvP. Like esports scene died because they were not keeping it alive as much and had some balance problems. But then they also didn't have enough like courage to make changes, to change stuff up in a way that would actually hopefully improve the quality or at least try some things out. And I think in PvP in general, it's a great PvP system, but the problem is it's just the population isn't there. And how would you fix that? I have no clue. I think at this point the population is just very low. I'm waiting just for the pip here. You said you've played for 12.5 years. Do you have Treasure Hunter completed? Let me check. I don't even know at this point. Is it under collections? Collections, rare collections. No, I don't have Treasure Hunter. This is one of the rarest things that I don't have that because it doesn't provide me. You get this chest, and this chest gives on average like 1 silver or something. It's really bad, and you get nothing else. You have to, and this is a fun collection, but it's horrible. Like it's just horrible to get. You just need to get like a lot of chunk, and you also have to purchase some things like Pendant of Ara. How much is that? Like 100 gold or something. And that goes for a lot of the other things as well. Like, oh, it's way more, 430 gold. So yeah, and that goes for a lot of the things in there. Like what is also very expensive, this one, Vendak Signet. And it's just like, I don't have that because I don't care. It doesn't provide me with any value. But maybe at some point I should get all of that stuff. Maybe at some point. Yeah. Heart of Thorns doesn't need mounts to reach, but it needs some masteries. Sometimes they are locked behind Itzel lore and stuff like that. Sometimes they are locked behind like just being rather hard to kill. You know, if you don't have a solo build and you are a new player, you might struggle to kill the champions alone, especially the Frog, for example, in Verdant Brink. So I would personally say for a new player, it's better Visions of Eternity and of Dragons if you have access to it. Yeah. Hope the next mount they introduce is like Dragon, but 2 people can ride it. I'm not even sure if there will be another mount. I at this point, I think they rework old mounts rather than introducing new mounts. Yeah. Yes, hydrate. Hydrate. So, someone wanted to play PvP with me. So, if someone in chat wants to play PvP unranked with me, I'm up. I have nothing else to do, so we can do that. We can do that. Just let me know and give me an invite, and we can queue together some unranked if you're up for it. The marketing for the game compared to WoW, ISO, and is really bad. I've never seen any Guild Wars 2 ads. Yeah, I think Guild Wars 2 did a way better job in the last couple of months than it did like the last 10 years. Or like the last 5 years, let's say that. I think a lot of times Guild Wars 2 marketing was horrible, but I think the last couple of months it was actually quite okay. Yeah. I'm not saying Dark Magic, that's a bad idea with your mount idea there, but I think it's unlikely because we didn't see any new mounts with the annual expansions. We just saw reworks. So I suspect we will get only reworks to already existing ones. Like, for example, maybe the Jackal, maybe the Roller Beetle. Those seem to be the ones that are on the priority list. They could get a rework in the next expansion. That's just my guess. I don't know. Yeah. I like fishing to some extent. I'm not like doing fishing 24/7 or something, but I have all the fishing titles. So for me, fishing is like a fun activity. Yeah. So yeah, if someone chat asked earlier if you wanted to play PvP with me, so now is the time. If you're still here, we can do that. Just let me know. But yeah, going back to the marketing, I think Guild Wars 2 marketing was horrible in the last 5 years, like really bad. They had either no ads, or if they had ads, it was not showing the best parts of the game and stuff like that. So I didn't like that. But the thing is, they changed that, in my opinion, in the last, like, let's say 6 months, when they started with Visions of Eternity, the hype up, like, for example, their marketing with partner program, but also with like their video or movie, however you want to call it, the thing where we saw how the production, the 20-year lifespan of Guild Wars and Guild Wars 2, I think that was actually quite nice. The taxi was peak content. I mean, I would say that's debatable, but it was content. It was not a good advertisement, but it was content. But yeah, I think the problem for me is that I hope they have to continue with that. You know, if they just did it now and people start playing now and then they quit again, or just we don't have constant influx of new players, that's not good enough. You have to continue marketing. So I hope they continue marketing 2026 as well. And not only make like a big marketing hype at the end of 2026 when Visions of Eternity comes out, and then like for 9 months they don't do anything. I think they should put out a bit more effort, bit more like stuff, whatever it is, hype up, so that the community keeps spreading the word of mouth. Yeah, that is, I don't know. I hope so. Yeah. Do you think buying Fractal Cube from MP, then opening using discounted keys is worth it? I think it's worth it, but I would say be careful to not waste too much on that. You know, sometimes you need to keep your account-bound currency to yourself and don't spend it on stuff that you actually want to, how can I say, you don't want to waste account-bound currency that you might need in the future for legendary, for whatever you want to get, because account-bound currency is exactly that stuff that is a little bit more annoying to farm. Gold is a currency that you need for everything almost, yeah? But it's therefore also quite easy to farm. If you need, like, for Fractal God or something, where is it? Like, I don't know, thousands of crystalline fractal relics and 100,000 of fractal relics, and you invest fractal relics to get more gold, that's completely fine if you know what you're doing. But if you at some point need the fractal relics to get Fractal God or whatever you want from fractals, then you will be a bit sad, because farming them is way more annoying than farming gold. So keep that in mind always. Gold is nice to get from a lot of currency, almost all of them can be converted into gold, but they are also somewhat more annoying to actually unlock again. That is something that you should always like consider, have in mind. Yeah. I felt like it was to the last 5 years, especially after Iceblood Saga was just struggling financially. I think Iceblood Saga was supposed, we don't have any confirmation there, but how it looked back then was that ArenaNet was working on something in the background. I think it was a Dunes game at the point or something. And they wanted to end Guild Wars 2 storyline with Iceblood Saga. And that was noticeable in a lot of different things. And then NCSoft said, no, my friends, you are doing End of Dragons. And it was one of the best selling expansions ever, End of Dragons. It was really good. Problem is, it continued with like decent success after End of Dragons with the annual expansions and stuff. And I think the marketing in this era was quite bad. End of Dragons was good, and then we had like a big gap where the marketing was not that, it was not horrible, but it was way less existent. And that is a big problem. Marketing, even if it's bad, you know, the taxi ad, for example, I don't think it's a good ad. But having an ad that is in the like mind of people is already marketing. But if you don't do any marketing, then people don't know even about it, you know? So even if you have the worst ad possible, that's already good marketing, because it means that people talk about it. And I think that is something that it was missing in like Soto, Chanterval's era. That was a bit missing. They had some ads, but it was not impactful in my opinion. I think Visions of Eternity did a way better job with marketing itself. Maybe that was elite spec based, maybe that was like player driven, who knows? But either way, I think the marketing was better. And I hope that continues to stay like that. I really hope that 2026, that they're not like being silent what they want to do with another expansion, with like the updates and stuff, but keep the hype train going, to quote Colin here. I think that is definitely something that needs to continuously be done. Marketing is not something that you do once a year and then everything is good. So yeah, what can I say? I mean, that's just what I feel. You know, I'm not a marketing expert, but I have a little bit of knowledge because I have a YouTube channel, and that means that I actually understand what is somewhat working and what is not working. But I also think they should like invest money in that. Like, marketing is keeping the game alive, even if it doesn't add any content to the game. It adds players, and indirectly that is content. So yeah, that's just my opinion there. You might disagree there, but who knows? Who knows? Maybe ArenaNet has some really secret things coming up this year. Who knows? Who knows? I think they are not slacking anymore in the marketing department. Yes, I agree with you, Snowbleach. I think they are now doing a way better job. I think one of the things that was very smart is like bringing World of Warcraft players that have like a player base with them into the game. Oh my god, of course it's a Gale shot. Oh my god, stop this. Maybe we get a kill here. Nice, we get a kill. Please let me really... Nope. Never mind. Of course I'm the target from a Gale shot and all the other people. Sad. Spear is good for Revenant? Yes, Spear is good. Like, it doesn't matter what kind of Revenant you're playing, Spear is a really, really good option. Like, any Revenant Elite spec makes use out of the Spear quite decently well. Yeah. I'm not slacking in the marketing department. Yeah, I'm just slacking in reading, you know, that's the thing, you know. Yeah, okay, did not get that right. Yeah, thanks for making it clear again. I'm glad you think so. You know, I think my marketing could be better, but I'm not doing a bad job, that is true. Oh my god, what is that damage? What? Is that like Dragon Hunter damage? You know, I have toughness in my build. What? Like just completely annihilated in one like burst combo. Yeah, I have toughness, you know. Like, what? I have like almost 2000 toughness. How do I get one shot by this? This is insane. I don't know. I don't know. It's just insane at this point. Yeah, I think the spear animation, that's probably one of the best animated weapons in the entire game. So let's have a fair 101 here. Like, my friend, now you will lose in a 101. I know it. So. And of course, it's not a fair 101 anymore. Yeah, I mean, you see, that's why I don't like PvP, you know? It doesn't matter what I queue, if I queue ranked or unranked right now, it feels like it's always like not that fun to play. I don't even have to fight against luminaries. It's just like apparently they are full like a better team than our team. It's so sad. It's so sad. I just wanted to have some fun. I mean, it's still not lost, but it's not that fun to be completely outnumbered all the time. Yeah, but yeah, talking about spears, nice. We get a 101 against the Power Herald. That's something that I definitely want to take. Wait, is that even Power Herald? It seems like very aggressive Herald. Okay. Yeah, but the animation on Spear is really good, like really good. Can we take this 101? Is this a Condia Power Reaper? It's a Power Reaper, obviously. No. Not good, not good. How could I play this better? Probably kite it more, but I mean, at this point, it doesn't really matter too much if there are always 3 people. How can we play this better? How can we save this? Probably not. We probably cannot save this. No, we can't get the dress. That was very close. Look at this, what? That's insane. That's so much damage. That's crazy. No, it's fine. I mean, it's fine. It's not like I'm playing that well. It's just like it doesn't feel that like you cannot get like a good match right now in ranked or unranked. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Best defense, not be there. Mr. Miyagi. Yeah, I mean, I guess that is true. Like the best defense to in PvP is like not being there. Yeah, I guess. And then there's the gay shot. Yup. I see that one. Holy shit. Like getting gravity welt in a 1v5, that seems like a good use of the gravity welt. How can you promote a balance patch when ANET have no clue how to balance? I wouldn't promote it. I'm just saying, do you think it's a good balance patch? That's my question. I'm not promoting anything. I'm just saying the balance patch hopefully changes stuff. I don't know if it's a good change or bad change. I just hope that they listen to some of our feedback. Oh my god. Welcome, Raiders. Welcome, welcome. Welcome. How was your stream today, Con? How was your stream, Connor? Thanks for everyone. Welcome, welcome. Thanks for the raid. We are just losing PvP right now. That's what we are doing here on stream. Just complaining about the meta. No, not complaining. Just saying it's not very fun to lose. Welcome, 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 welcome. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Having a nice stream. Had some fun in World vs. World. Now playing PvP. I'm not sure if I continue playing World vs. World or PvP after this match. To be honest, we will see. Yeah, PvP at the moment, if you don't play like Visions of Eternity specs, it feels a little bit like... Yeah, not that good, not that good. Stream was great, bunch of AP farming, some fractals and gold farming, was a good time. Oh, that sounds very good, yeah. Yeah, I thought about doing daily fractals today, but I think I checked and it was like one of the worst dailies, like Aquatic Ruins and Lonely Tower. Oh my god, I don't do that stuff. That I will do it like another stream, I guess. Yeah, but I mean, if you're in dire need of gold, I can understand. And AP farming, I should get to do that as well. You know, that would be such a fun like challenge on stream, getting some achievements that I don't have. Yeah, that's cool. Glad you had a nice stream. Yeah, I mean, you know, you just farmed me Malediction here in Unranked, even with like a not Visions of Eternity specs, but they are so dominant. Like they are really dominant. Like. Obviously, I just couldn't showcase how good like this build is, but the problem is like, let's do another one. You know, I want to win one match, but it's maybe we have to play a ranked match. To be honest, maybe we should play a ranked match to have a fair matchmaking. I don't know. The thing is, it doesn't really matter. Like Visions of Eternity specs are so strong. If you don't play them right now, you lose definitely a value. That's a little bit sad. Yeah. Had a ranked match yesterday, we got utterly stomped. Yeah, I think it's like, it doesn't matter if you play unranked or ranked right now. It feels like if you are good, you can carry. If you are bad or like medium, I'm medium at the game, I would say not that good, then it's hit or miss, you know? Sometimes you have good teammates, sometimes you have teammates that are decent, but they just play two supports and then you have lost as well. It is really like the matchmaking or the population is so low in PvP that right now with the meta, how rigid it is, it feels like very hit or miss. And that's painful. You know, I don't mind losing a match 450 to 500. I actually don't. I know if you might not agree here, but I actually don't mind that. Because then it was a close match. What I don't like is a match where I lose 50 to 500. That is frustrating, because that means it was not nicely balanced, the match. Or we had a DC or something. But if the matchmaker just, let's say 4 out of 5 matches are stomps, then I'm not having any fun playing PvP anymore. That's the thing. I don't mind if I lose or win if it's close enough. That's really like the most, I don't know, the feeling that I have. And I think a lot of people would agree with that. Yeah. Aquatic, show off that purple aqua breeder. I guess to have to be honest, no Snowdrop. I actually have not equipped that aqua breeder other than on classes that I actually went into war to, which is like in most classes I did not play underwater. So I have like 70 characters, and out of those 70, I have probably 2 having the aqua breeder equipped, which is like probably already some kind of like telling sign that I don't play that much underwater content. Yeah. Most games are already alright though, and I have definitely had lots of games that were won from a 200 point deficit. Yeah, I think that is the nice part about Guild Wars 2, that it's not as snowbally as, for example, like a MOBA or something, where if you lose the early game, it's quite likely that you lose the late game as well. In Guild Wars 2, you can like come back from a 499 to 1. You can win this match. It's unlikely, but you can. And I think that's the beauty. And I had like a lot of matches that swung around. Not always the way that I wanted to. Sometimes we were ahead and we lost like a 100 point lead. That happens. But I think that's nice. The problem that I have is, for me, maybe it's because I queue not always to the prime time hours, like, let's say it like that. Maybe I queue in the morning, maybe I queue like during the afternoon, during a midweek or something, yeah. I admit that. But sometimes the matches, or oftentimes for me, they feel like just not very exciting. Yeah, I want a match that is equally balanced and I actually feel my impact. You know, I did a rotation correctly and I won the match because of that. I don't want a match where I carry like crazy on far, but it doesn't matter because we have either a DC or we have like 2 supports and it's just not a fair matchup making. That is a little bit frustrating to me. Yeah, welcome, Shake. Welcome. Stream is doing good. I'm happy, and it's like a nice time to play the game at the moment. Yeah. If Enid wants some revenue, they could sell the pre-order bonuses. Getting it cheaper is a good enough benefit for people pre-ordering. That is true. I mean, sometimes they do that stuff, actually. I think you can acquire some of the pre-order stuff from older expansions nowadays as well. Welcome, awesome. Welcome. Since I play Gate Shot, I'm either top DPS or dead. Thanks, Boskovsky. Really appreciate it. Gifted sub to Connor. Nice. Very good. Connor, you got one. Very good. But yeah, I think like that Gale Shot is, in general, a lot of DPS builds, Visions of Eternity specs. Either, for example, Gale Shot, Evoker, at least the Fresh Air Evoker, they are either you carry the match like crazy because they're insane damage, or you lose the match because you are instantly dead because they are always on you. That's like very hit or miss, but I think that's fine. It's not horrible. Let me turn up my graphics again. But it can be frustrating at times. You know, you don't want to get farmed. It always feels horrible. Yeah. Good content for a rainy day, equipping the breed on every character, I guess, yeah. And then stat selecting it so that it's correct equipped with the runes and the stats. Yes, that sounds horrible for all build templates and stuff. Yeah. I'm dog sitting at my mom's house, so sadly I can't. That's okay. Guild Wars 2 will not go anywhere, so you can play it until Wednesday. That's fine. Gale Shot is very fun, mechanically heavy, so I learn a lot. Yeah, I think Gale Shot is one of the very interesting, especially in PvP, it's like a very, very cool class to learn because it's very rewarding if you play it correctly. And it's one of the classes that is very impactful as well. You know, you have an impact on the team, on the match. And if you fail, that is probably on you and you know that, and you can then hopefully improve on that. I think that's perfect. It's a good class to play, yeah, in PvP. The positioning is always, like, if you play a squishy build like Gale Shot, positioning is so key. It's so important. It's always key, even if you play a tanky build, it's really important. But especially for a squishy build, like going in and running at them is like your nightmare. You should never do that. Yeah. Good point. So let's see. Hopefully we can like positive mental attitude here and like just have fun trying to win this match. We have like a garbage comp. It's like beyond reason, but it's okay. 2 virtuosos, 1 side noting. This guy is obviously quite good. And with like an antiquary and a core necromancer. We have no support. We have like 2. Oh my god. But we're fighting against the Mesmer, so like a Mirage with the staff. We take that. That's a Herald. That's a CC chain. Nice, we got the kill. Very good. Nice, another kill. We have to go on this guy now. Wait for the dodge and get the CC here. Oh my god, was I blinded? I think we should get the kill here. No, 1%. Okay, it's fine. I generally love how serious people take games. Everyone needs a hobby. I mean, not saying, you know, that it... How can I answer this? I would agree that you should not take a game too seriously. But, you know, after all, I want to get better at a game. I want to have fun. And for me, fun is always like getting better at something. So, oh my god, is that a Condi Revenant? Condi Herald? I think it is. I mean, that's a matchup that I actually like, I guess. Okay, we got 1 kill here. Nice, nice, nice. We have to be careful here, but we have this guy down, so we can just rally from that. Nice. 2v2-1. That's already good. I think this match is like over. I wouldn't like say too early, but I think it looks quite good, quite promising. But yeah, I think you should be careful to not take the game too seriously. I agree with that, but I think it's fine if you have the mindset to want to get better at the game. Well, why is that like a problem? Everyone can play the game how they want to play it. And I think playing the game to want to get better, to want to get some goals done, why not? Why not? Oh, they're going Lord. That's ambitious. Let's say that. I'm just wasting time working. Yeah, I mean, I can see that. I can see that. Yeah, that was quite a decent port. That is true. But the thing is that it's really sad that no one of our team followed. You know, we have like 3 people with ports they could have easily followed. I'm the only one that can't follow that defensive port. It was a really good port by the Mirage, I agree. Like porting up there is really good, because to follow, I would like have to follow like for 20 seconds to go like up there, or like 10 seconds at least. So that's a good port. And especially if you then jump here on this platform, on this like pillar or what it is, like ruin, that would be like a huge, a really, really big, how can I say, safety, because no one can port up there. It's just ranged attacks that actually hit you there. So that would be a really, really good thing to go after there as well. So let's get, this is like a really annoying like Weaver build. Just tank Weaver, Mud Wizard, something like that. Some CC here? No. Some CC here? No. Oh my god. You know, I'm having toughness, but I'm just getting like 2-shot almost here. It's so crazy. No one plays support Virtuoso anymore. It's just like the bursty builds anymore. Everywhere. It's crazy. And there's a lot of CC here, but I think we should get the kill. I have so much Condi pressure. It's not, the Weaver cannot deal with that. Very good. Got them all. I think that's the match now. Nice. Nice. Yeah, sometimes ranked matches are actually way more like fun to play than an unranked, because unranked doesn't take rating into account. It's just how it is. That's just the nature of it. I had a blast during the off-season with Push. I had to be honest, that was for me one of the most fun times in the last few months that I played PvP. Push was like awesome. Oh my god. This is CC chaining. Not good, but I mean, I guess my team gets lowered, hopefully, maybe. We will see. But yeah, Push was awesome. Like, Push was for me really fun. I still think it is not the perfect game mode, but it's way more fun than I expected in the beginning. And during the off-season, it was like I was grinding. It was really fun. I played like a lot of matches there. There's a guild on EU that plays Stronghold only as a 5-stack every day. I mean, you can do that. I think you will have like a 100% win rate, because I guess no one plays Stronghold. But I have to be honest, Stronghold for me was never like, I was never excited about Stronghold that much, because Stronghold has a lot of strategy, but it only works if you like have a team that is also like working with you, you know? So in a ranked setting, I think that is like, seems very unrealistic to work. Because in a ranked setting, you have like teammates, you never know if they are like trolling, if they do a good rotation or not, and you have to be a 5-stack to actually make that work. I think it would be very interesting to see like a Stronghold tournament. That seems like a very interesting concept. I don't know if that will ever happen, but it sounds interesting. Stronghold is the superior game mode. I guess, yeah. It definitely has its like advantages. You know, it's probably one of the most strategic game modes out there. But I think with the low player population, having 3 game modes like Stronghold, Push, and Conquest, I don't see like that being like very smart. You know, you want to have a player base that is active, and you don't want to split your rather like not extremely active player base into 3. I think that is not very healthy for the player base as a whole. Usually it's versus new players learning the game and trying to get into PvP to get to rank 20. Yeah, that's probably like most players that forgot to uncheck the stronghold box. 18 torment stacks. That's so disgusting. Look at the Visions of Eternity specs. Like 18 torment stacks with like 2 attacks or something. That's just crazy. It's nice that I have stability, which is really helpful against the CC chaining of this guy. There we go, we did it. Not bad, we won a match. Not bad. Let's look at World versus World. If we get something done here. Oops. When is the patch coming? It's on... So we get the balance patch on Tuesday. So on the 30th of January. So on Tuesday. So in 3 days will the balance patch happen. And the quick play patch, so raids, merging, and the fashion templates and that kind of stuff, that will all happen at the 3rd of February. So like 3 weeks, a little bit more than 3 weeks. Yes. Yes, Visions of Eternity specs need big nerfs. I agree, I agree. Yeah, I'm doing well. I hope everybody else is doing well as well. But I think I'm looking forward to the balance patch. Not necessarily because I agree with all the changes, but more because I hope that the changes will nerf like the specs. Like you could see Conduit was completely disgusting in this match. Like 18 torment stacks with like 2 attacks. That's can't be good for the game. And stuff like that, I hope they will nerf stuff down so that we have like a real choice again. Yeah, that is my big hope there. But who knows? Who knows? Maybe they have other plans. Yeah, so next update is the balance patch. There will not be any big like changes or content coming with it. It's just the balance patch on the Tuesday this week. And after that, we will get Fractal Rush and we will get a World versus World Rush. So that's quite nice. No, it's not ours. That's not ours. Where did they go in? There, very good. So that is definitely something that I like rush events. I think it would be even better if we get like more content, but I think rush events are a good middle ground. And after that, on the 3rd of February, we will get the big patch, the big patch. I hope this will be awesome. And really, I'm not disappointed with the features that they bring. Yeah, the quick play with the unifying of raids and strikes, and also like the fashion templates and maybe other core features, who knows. But I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah, glad you like my websites. Yeah, more to come with it, more to come. So thoughts on Troubadour meta in World vs. World? I think it's not healthy to have distortion share and that kind of stuff. I think that is like very unhealthy for the game. But I mean, there are so many good specs. Like Luminary is insanely strong as a support as well. Like permanent stability for its team. I don't know. I really think like the Visions of Eternity specs need a look at. Like they just do. I think it's like Visions of Eternity specs at the moment is like, for competitive mode specifically, they are a complete like day and night. Either you play them or you don't play them. So hopefully they will look at that. I really hope so. I think there should always be a rush event available. I think if there is enough like variety and it's not only like every month there is a PvP rush or something, then it's fine. If you have like 8 to 10 rush events that you like cycle through, I think I agree with you. You have to be careful though, so that people don't get burned out and don't like care about the rush events anymore. But I agree, especially World vs. World Rush is probably always one that is like really highly popular because you get just more loot, you know, for the same stuff. I like it, yeah. I wish they would balance the spears finally. Half or more of them are 30 DPS top builds feature spear, and it's getting stale, to be honest. Yeah, I think it's actually crazy to me that they don't do the spear balancing in a way that you want the spear because of its attacks, because of its looks, but not necessarily because of its power level, you know? I, as a player, would purchase an expansion. I know I'm a content creator and stuff, but I still think that a lot of players would agree with this statement and would purchase an expansion for having the ability to change the abilities that you use, not without increasing the power level, but just having different attacks that you can use on top of that. So I agree with you, Snowdrop. I think they should just decrease the level of value a spear provides to be somewhat close or exactly the same as all the other weapons, yeah? So that it's just a different attack, but not forcing you to play spear in the top meta builds all the time. It can be on some, but it doesn't need to be in 30 of them. Yeah, I agree. Which war spec will benefit most from the fast hands change? So that's a really weird one. So the spec that benefits the most is the spec that already is the strongest in PvE, which is Berserker. Berserker is right now the strongest spec for Warrior that benefits the most out of this fast hands change, if we are talking about PvE. If Paragon, however, would benefit very highly from it, but Paragon struggles with discipline, or with like general like discipline. You take discipline all the time on Paragon, and it's not necessarily because of the fast hands change, it's because of the adrenaline generation that you get from discipline. So in a lot of cases, you will still take on Paragon discipline, and therefore the fast hands baseline change doesn't really like do anything for you. So I would say Warrior, the biggest winner of the fast hands change is Berserker. The biggest, so to say, loser, or the spec that doesn't get any value from it, is like Bladestone. And then you have Spellbreaker and Paragon that get value technically, but cannot get as much value as you would like them to be. And I think that's a little bit like the fast hands change. We will have to see if there are like crazy builds coming up with that. But for me, a lot of times, if they make changes like that, they should think about what benefits the most and think about if that's actually the thing that they want to benefit the most. Yeah. So I feel like Berserker is actually one of the specs that is not too bad on Warrior. I think they should like rather buff some stuff that is a little bit underused rather than buffing stuff that is already like one of the better ones. That's just my take. But I think the fast hands change is interesting. I'm not sure if I agree with the staff nerf at the same time though. The staff block nerf, oh boy, that is quite something, I would say. That is quite something. But yeah, I think like Warrior has like one of the biggest issue for Warrior is that Berserker is supposed to be like the condi damage spec, it's the power damage spec, and it has also support spec in there. But at the same time, that's the crazy part, you don't have any other condi spec. Like the only condi spec that you can play is Berserker as a full DPS and Paragon. And Paragon is not even like really condi because you have like 40% of your damage coming from power or something around that. So it's, I don't know. I think like Warrior has like some underlying design problems. They have to think about how they can fix that. Like I'm a Warrior fan in Guild Wars 2. I play a lot of Paragon and I think Paragon is great. But I think like looking at the other elite specs, I think they have to be a bit more like aggressive with what they want to achieve there. That's why I really dislike shipping a single weapon with an expansion. If the weapon is too good, it feels like a cheap money grab, especially since Chante Wild sales fell off really hard. It just feels like icky to still have Spear as universally strong as it is now. Yeah, I agree. I think it feels like they really want you to buy the expansion and to just unlock the Spear to get the best value, the best weapon possible. And it doesn't feel like a nice consumer practice to have an expansion that is like mediocre and you just buy it because you want the Spear unlock. Like that is a little bit sad, yeah. But I have to be honest, I don't see them nerfing spears in a way so like so much, so drastically all the spears that it is like on par with all the other weapons. I don't see that. I have to be honest. I feel like they could nerf it a bit, but I don't see them nerfing them that you can say, okay, on Virtuoso, Power Virtuoso, you now always take power like with Greatsword. I don't know how they have to change like the numbers like insanely hard. I'm not sure if they will do that. How do you counter Power Luminary? If you are skilled at the same level, you just try to like kite them because they are melee focused. But if you are like, if they are somewhat similar skilled as you are, it's almost impossible because it's just a really good spec. It's just a really, really good spec right now. Also, some specs definitely have 3 weapons. Versus something like Bladezone, who can only use 2. Yeah, that is definitely a big negative as well. Like, Bladezone is probably after like Viva buffs, I would say, and maybe some power Herald or in general Herald changes. I think like Viva and Bladezone are to me probably the specs that need the most amount of effort put in, maybe even a full rework for Bladezone. Like Bladezone, to be honest, is I think a rather like it has good damage numbers. It has a rather clear identity. It knows what it wants to be. But I think Bladezone could use like an update of its mechanics. Yeah, like make Bladezone Gunsaber somewhat similar to how you play Gale Shot. Yeah, I think that would make Bladezone somewhat of an interesting spec without nerfing its identity, but giving it a bit more flexibility and utility back. I think that would be awesome. I don't know. Maybe they listen. Maybe they don't know. Maybe they do that. Who knows? But I think that's something that they should take a look at. With that said, I think we need a couple more weapons like offense. I think some classes need that more than others. Like Engineer has very little, like has almost no good offense if you play like Sword, for example. What would you pair Sword with? Like the Sword is a clear power-based weapon. So what weapon would you pair with a sword? Probably a shield, maybe the pistol to get some damage, but I don't know. It feels like it's not. Some classes have offhand problems, but not all of them. Like for example, like I think like Guardian has good weapons. I think like Ranger has good weapons. So it depends a bit what class you're looking at, and it's also some classes have already all the offense almost. So I'm not sure how to fix that. For World vs. World Surgeon, can you recommend a spec that is relatively low intensity but still somewhat useful? Can we get a res here? No. What is somewhat useful? I think Troubadour, like support Troubadour is quite like you press like 3 buttons or something of cooldown, and it's really good. I think Troubadour is probably your way to go if you don't mind you playing a support. Yeah, I think the basic loop of like how you play as a Bladezone is like awesome. I think Bladezone, like I said, I think Bladezone is actually not in a bad spot. I think it does a lot of damage and it has utility with CC and stuff. But the problem is that it is like a little bit, oftentimes a little bit clunky to use, you know? And if they would just improve the clunkiness with like making it so like you have Gale Shot recharge mechanics and stuff like that, I think that would be pretty much like fix it, yeah. At least for me, yeah. Pistol on Engineer is useless, whether it's main or offhand. Yeah, I think Engineer has like not that many weapon choices, and it feels like two-handed weapons are oftentimes like just always the best in slot option, like always. And that's a little bit sad. I made a video, I released it yesterday, I think, on my YouTube channel about what weapons I would rework for each class. So I put out like I looked at one weapon per class and took a look at it and said this is the weapon that I think is the weakest or I think needs the most amount of reworks. That's a little bit different of a wording, but quite important in my opinion, this distinction. And looked at it and thought, what kind of weapon how would I address this weapon? What would be the change that would help this weapon? And I made it for every single class, one of the weapons. And I think it was a really interesting debate. We have a lot of comments that are having some interesting ideas. Some of them are like crazy, but some of them are like crazy good. So I think it was a really nice debate. Nice. Is Ritualistically good on PvP? Oh yes, it is. It is. The main problem is the general design. If you miss the big damage, big hit, Bladezone feels really bad. I'd rather prefer a design like Samurai and Fantasy. Less big hit, but more often being able to repeat it akin to Chrono. Yeah, I think that is like the biggest problem is if you make that less of a big hit, then it loses its identity to some extent. And you don't want to go too hard on nerfing stuff of the identity away, because the identity is what keeps people interested in a spec, I would say. So I see both sides. I don't know. I don't want to be a balance dev there and make decisions about that. I guess the decision is probably not up to them either, because they have to put resources on stuff and what the managing people say. And I'm not sure if Bladezone is on their table, because Bladezone is an old spec, and I don't know if old specs are actually getting reworks. If that's like with the spear and stuff, I don't know if that's something that they are looking forward to. Yeah. Hammer or spear for power amalgam? I would say it's hammer. Hammer is for power amalgam is really good. Since the shotgun off, if you don't play spear, you are 100% off meta. I mean, for PvP, you mean Hollow? Yeah, of course. For PvP, that is true. For PvP, that is true. But if you play in PvE, you play with like spear, with hammer. Yes, I mean, spear is such, like we mentioned it earlier, spear is like in competitive modes, like there is almost not a single meta build for the Visions of Eternity specs that doesn't use a spear. Spear is still to this day like extremely power crept, and like Hollow puts it, you're trolling if you're not using it. Yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. What runes should be used in solo Luminary build? You can use Fireworks if you have trouble upkeeping the wound duration and upkeeping your wounds. I think I mentioned that in the video as well. That's why I have two different things there. Fireworks if you have trouble upkeeping all your wounds. If you don't mind that, or if you can upkeep them anyway, then you can go for more damage with Dragon Hunter runes. Yes. I would love to see Shotbow Mesmer, just to see I can use my Shotbow Generation 1. I mean, I think your friends around you wouldn't like that because it has really annoying sounds, but I can understand that. I mentioned that in the last stream as well. I think we will never get new weapons for elite specs anymore, or for weapons in general for any specs. I think there are so many weapons already and they have big issues balancing them. I think I don't see a world where this is like healthy for the game to put out more weapons. I just don't see it. Especially looking at Ranger, Warrior that have already so many weapons. What kind of niche do you want to fill with those weapons without like making something obsolete? I don't see it. Does Unblockable go through ages? Yes. Unblockable goes through ages and it goes through reflects and deflects. So Unblockable has like multiple, so to say, use cases, yeah. Yep. Is there a better relic choice for Rival Mechanist now? Depends what you mean with better. So if you want the maximum amount of damage, Relic of the Thief is still the best option in most cases. You can also go for Relic of the Eagle. Both of them are fine. But if you go in solo open world, then I would recommend Relic of Sakiros. But other than that, I think it's like you're still to this day playing with those. Yeah. What is the future of the legendary system? Who knows? Who knows? I really would like to see some kind of long-term future blog post where they talk about what they have in mind for like legendaries, their expansions, their elite specs, and what they have in mind, how the game continues. I doubt we will get it, but I hope they will do it at some point. Yeah. The quarterly update is happening on the 3rd of February. That is correct. Yes. What is more fluid, fun, flexible as a spec for solo play? Catalyst, Evoker, or Tempest? I personally like Catalyst the most out of those three because it's the most fluid and most like it has the best value overall. However, for a lot of newer players or players that enjoy like not too button mashy playstyle, Tempest is a bit of a better choice. I wouldn't go Evoker. I think Evoker is like for solo play, it's decent, but it's not as good as Tempest and Catalyst in my opinion. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, in general, I think like I don't see a world where we get a lot of new weapons, or maybe, I don't know, another set of elite specs seems also crazy. But I would have told you that already like a year ago before we announced those elite specs. I would also have said elite specs are crazy. So maybe ArenaNet is crazy and they just do it again. Who knows? I would love a 10+ year roadmap like Final Fantasy XIV. They promised enough content for that time. That is really cool. I mean, you have to live up to that as well. You know, it's just you can promise a lot, but it doesn't work out if you don't do it. I think Guild Wars 2, they don't even know the next 3 years. So how would they promise you content in the next 10 years? But who knows? Maybe we get an announcement. Like I said, I think the expansion announcement, if there will be one, is quite likely to either be in February or in August. Those two are my highest likelihoods that there will be one. Because in August, there is the end of the current cycle. Visions of Eternity is coming to an end. And in February, it's, I think, a very good time to just make it like when there is no actual content other than raid boss, that people actually get to know, yes, there is actually something coming after that. Yeah. I think that is what at least I would hope. Maybe I'm coping there, but that is my hope. Dervish could come? I don't know. I think Dervish doesn't really fit Guild Wars 2 class design. I don't know which class would fit it. You know, that's the main reason there. How do you proc Relic of the Thief as a rifle mechanist though? I don't really understand how the Relic works. So Relic of the Thief, whenever you use an attack that is not an auto attack, you will proc it. And if you then use your rifle 2 of cooldown, for example, that's already enough to keep it up. So it's a decent relic for that build. If you just want to use auto attack only, then you would use Eagle Relic. Eagle Relic is the relic that you would use if you have auto attack only builds, because it just gives you 10% damage against foes below 50%, meaning that if you fight over 100% of the fight with a boss, then you will get 5% across the whole if you average it out. Let's see if Square Enix can provide. Yeah, I mean, who knows? Who knows? I mean, I'm not too much into Final Fantasy, so I don't know all that stuff. But I guess, like, if they make big promises, they should at least live up to most of them, you know? It's like, it would be really bad for the company if you make promises and you don't live up to any of them. Is Spectre still good? Yes. Spectre is really good in World vs. World and Fractals. It is. It is a good pick. As a support, that is, yeah. As a DPS in Fractals, I would only play it in the 99 CM and 98 CM. Yeah, it's really good. I would, if you, it's just, people don't play it that often, but it's a really good spec. And tryhard people know that it's good. So if you want to play it, go for it. It's good. Yeah, support Spectre is really fun, really good, really flexible. I think it's just really underrated. I think it's just because not that many people play Thief in the first place. It's not one of the most common classes to play. And then I think a lot of people that play Thief don't really like the fantasy of a healer. You know, if you play Thief, you want to be Assassin. And a healer Assassin is just, I would say, like somewhat weird. Yeah, thanks for being there, Asu. See you. But yeah, if anybody else has a question, just ask. You know, I wanted to answer all the questions. If I miss some, just repeat it. I hope I will get back to it. Yeah, but I think it's like Guild Wars 2 has nowadays so many elite specs. So if you look at, like, especially PvE, and you look at a normal squad that you just find in a random strike group or something, you never know if a party is now playing a lot of meta builds, like everybody is playing like the absolute meta, or if they are just like random people that enjoy like playing Untamed, you know. For example, you might not have any luminaries or any conduits in your party, and you think, oh, that's not that good, it's not that common. But there are so many lead specs that it's just oftentimes you have to make choices, you know. You cannot play all of the good ones because pretty much all of them are really good. So at this point, we are in a world where like balancing and stuff like that is more about, at least in PvE, is more about like how players perceive it than it is actually the real case, you know. People always thought Spectre is bad the last year, but it's not true. Spectre was always good, but it just takes a while, you know. People always thought in Fractals Firebrand is the absolute best support, but that's not necessarily true. I think Chronomancer is better in Fractals. So stuff like that. It's just always the perception of what players think is meta than what is actually the best choice objectively. And a lot of times the best choice objectively is changing. It's changing like drastically. It's not always the same thing all the time. Every change they make that moves away from targeting teammates makes Spectre better and more enjoyable. Same with Scepter, Revenant. Yeah, I agree. I think like they tried it with like those two things, like Spectre or Scepter for Spectre and Scepter for Revenant. And I think it didn't work out. Like ally targeting in Guild Wars 2 is just not really working. It's just not good and doesn't fit the playstyle. So every change that they do that is going away from that makes those specs better. And you can clearly see that with Spectre. They made so many changes to make it just AoE healing, AoE barrier and stuff. And that's just better. And if they do the same thing for the Scepter for Revenant, you will notice that Revenant will also feel way less clunky, yeah. Because right now it feels like horrible. If you play a support in any game mode as a Revenant and you use the Scepter, it feels boring to some extent. And the attack has insane animations, the auto attack, and does nothing. It's so bad. It's really horrible. So for me, I think they should just buff Scepter like crazy and people would use it. But right now it feels so bad on Revenant. It's such a fun idea of a concept, but you would not like want to use it, you know, because it's just too bad with the ally targeting and that kind of stuff. It's really sad. It's actually really sad. Ally targeting only works if you have mouse over mechanics on a clean UI of health bars towards the center of your screen. And you know, you don't have customizable UI in Guild Wars 2. So stuff like that is like always at the border. And that's a little bit annoying. So Guild Wars 2 is not made for ally targeting. And it's okay. You know, you don't have to copy every single thing from other MMOs. You don't. And I think it's completely fine to not do that. But they have to fix stuff that is currently only ally targeting, like Scepter and Revenant. Yeah. But that's just my opinion. Maybe some people here in chat absolutely love like how ally targeting works and would like have more ally targeting. But for me, it's not a good thing. It really isn't. But it's also because I often play like competitive modes, and ally targeting in competitive modes can be even more challenging than it is in PvE because you have to look out for more things at the same time. I think in PvE, even there, Spectre and ally targeting is rather bad with. And I'm not saying Spectre is bad, I'm saying the ally targeting feels bad. We have other attacks, don't get me wrong. Like we have, for example, Druid has some ally targeting, or Staff, and Mesmer has with the rifle some ally targeting as well. But that doesn't make it good. Yeah. I mean, this is a rather interesting like situation. We are defending our Stone Mist Castle and like no one has an organized squad. Interesting. Classic EBG. But at least now we have some kind of like squad. Earlier we just had roaming on EBG. How boring is that? There we go. I'm also working on a really fun video, so stay tuned for that, about how much gold you actually get from doing World versus World. That will be like a banger. Not necessarily if you... How can I say? You know, not a lot of people know how much gold you actually get in World versus World. So you will be surprised when you watch this video. I have interesting things prepared. So yeah, stay tuned, like I said. But yeah, this is also like proving my point, what I'm doing here. A lot of gold that I get here. But yeah, if you have any other questions, just let me know. Let me know. Always happy to answer questions for new players and veterans alike. And of course, just any debate topics also. Always appreciate it. So I guess we are going for this tower. Interesting. Interesting. I will do some meta trains, yes. I actually did some earlier today, or some metas, because I expect that the legendary that we will get, or at least in a couple of upcoming legendaries that we will get, require, for example, the Visions of Eternity metas. So I will do some more of those. Not today though, but in the next few streams I will do some meta trains with viewers in general. You just can join and take along. Stuff like that, yeah. And I always promise it here on stream. I will just repeat it. Maybe it will come true because I repeat it so often. But if you see me drop any infusion during the stream, I will give it away. It doesn't matter. So I will do meta trains, and whenever I drop any infusion, it will be a giveaway. I will not keep it for this account at all. So you can pray for like me getting an infusion so we can do a giveaway. I never in the 12.5 years I played Guild Wars 2, never got any infusions from meta. So maybe at some point we will get it. Visions of Eternity matters are useless because mirror exists. Yeah, it's a little bit sad. I think I just used them because I want to stack up on the thing that you get only once per day on the meta train thing. And that is potentially required for the legendary, or at least it could be. So I will stack up on the meta event chests. That's the only thing why I do them. I tried some of your elementalist builds, but following the same rotation, I only find myself to hitting like 11 to 12k, and I've seen your video go upwards to 20k. You should always understand that, first of all, if you have the perfect gear, you also have to be very fast with pressing all your buttons. It's not only following a rotation, but you also have to press the buttons very fast. And secondly, if you're talking about a like a solo build, it's just practice. If you talk about the PvE group build, then you should also activate your boons and the boons on you and the conditions on the golem. Yeah. Is there any easy way to get alts to some mats? You can use the recharging teleport to friend or the normal teleport to friend and teleport to allies. That can be really, really good for just raw, like fast movement. Ally targeting is fine for downtime, like connection numbers mechanics, but not in general. I agree. I feel it's not. It should. If the kit has both, I think that's good. If it's only ally targeting, that's where the problem lies. Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. I'd like a change to engineer flamethrower, make it a kit, the condition kit, and if you right click the one skill, you can swap to plasma caster. That swaps all skills to power versions. Oh, that would be really cool. I would really like to see that. I'm not sure if they have the development resources to do that, because it seems like they are currently rather like stretched thin. But I hope they do that. I would really like that. Like I would really like that. It's a really cool idea. I really appreciated how you talk about what's bad and they should change it in the game. I expect the same from other content creators, but they don't. For some reason, I don't want to seem too negative, but I also want to make the game better. You know, I really like Guild Wars 2, so I want to continue playing it. And I think if you improve a game, it will attract more players and it will be more enjoyable for the players that already play it. So I just want the game to succeed and get a better game. And you can only get better games if you actively tell developers and other players what you think is bad, so that they can address this. Yeah. I really think so. So I don't want to seem too negative here, because oftentimes people say, oh, you make a video about the negatives of boons and boons are awesome. Yes, boons are really good, but you also have to be able to talk about negatives without like getting completely like misinterpreted and said, oh, this guy hates boons. No, it's not true. I just want to say and make them even better. That is like a really important distinction to me. So I'm happy to agree with me that you have to criticize something to make it better. And I don't criticize just for the sake of criticizing. I'm really think that it's important to talk about stuff. Exactly. The comments are unhinged. Yeah, like absolutely unhinged. I expect comments to be unhinged, don't get me wrong. But oftentimes they are even more unhinged than I expected them. And that's just crazy at this point. Absolutely crazy. So, no, we're running. Okay, I think we are somewhat safe now. Oh, maybe not. Maybe I spoke too soon. No, it's fine. Very good. If you hated the game, you wouldn't be here talking about it. You criticized it out of love for the game. Exactly. I think it's like people expecting me to only talk positive about a game is exactly as toxic as if you would expect me only to talk negative about the game. I think a healthy discourse about this game is really important. Yeah, you know, having negative opinions, having positive opinions about the game, that's what is keeping you playing. The worst part about not talking about a game is the thing about feeling indifferent about it. If you are not interested about anything that changed to the game, then you are probably like not really enjoying the game anymore. Like you really have to understand that. Yeah. I don't give feedback anymore. The community always says they are too small of a team to fix that. They don't have the money to do that. I think that's just a stupid argument. You know, that's for the developers and ArenaNet to decide. It should not be a community to say, oh, that's too small. You know, I can criticize something that I expect will not change, but it's still something that I feel like would be a worthwhile change. If the developers then see that and say, yeah, that's something that we definitely have to change, then they listen. If they say, okay, that's something that we should change, but we don't have the resources, that's also fair, but that's their decision to make, not the community's decision. It's after all their game. We are just playing it, and we can give them our opinion. Yeah, that's just how it is. Exactly, yeah. If the players are just indifferent about everything, then the community is slowly keeping the game to die. That's just how it feels. And I hope that is not the case for Guild Wars 2. It's not that engaging content to make videos about things that could stay the same. Exactly. You know, making a video about the beauty of, like, I don't know, the first map of Visions of Eternity would be a positive video. But I doubt that a lot of people would be interested in watching that. Yeah, that's you always have to have videos and topics and talk about stuff that is good and bad at the same time. Maybe some things are only bad, but you have to talk about it in a way that is somewhat of a helping constructive feedback. Yeah. At least that's what I'm aiming to do. I know every content creator is different, every player is different, but I'm aiming to provide constructive feedback, constructive value for players and new players alike. You know, if you're a new player and listening to this, the game is awesome. I really think so. But it's not without flaws. And I think that's completely fair to say that. And the game is not for everybody as well. You know, some people like to grind dungeons and like PvE endgame content and expect new content every single couple months or something, every single month. That's just not the case in Guild Wars 2. So criticizing that is, in my opinion, fair, and you just have to accept the game for what it is and for what it is not. It's just what I do, at least. Yeah, and I succeed with it. You know, I like playing the game. I enjoy it since 12 years, and I take breaks from it. But it's not that I every single minute say, okay, this game is awesome, I will never quit it. There might be issues, especially currently in PvP, I don't like the meta. That's why I don't play that much PvP. Maybe I will do it next month when there's different changes. Yeah. And if you own the company, you should argue on behalf of the customer, not the company. Yeah. I mean, I personally would say for me, I criticize the game for what it is and what it's not. And what the company, what ArenaNet does with that, that's their decision to make. I wouldn't say it's my place to say that. If I don't like the direction they are going with the game, then at some point I might stop playing it. But that's after all their decision to make, not mine. If they want to go in a direction that I don't like. What other games do you play when you take a break? What do I play? I play Warframe off stream, and I did start playing World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy, but it was I'm never getting into those games that hard as I did for Guild Wars 2, so maybe in the future, but right now I didn't. And I like to play roguelikes off stream, like Hades and Hades 2 and stuff like that. So something to just have some fun, have some build crafting, but not with big commitment where you have to commit thousands of hours to get into the end game. So stuff like that. Yeah, exactly. You know, the small indie company ArenaNet. Exactly. Yeah, I don't know. I don't defend ArenaNet. I don't white knight them. I think they have to talk for themselves. And if they cannot talk with quality, then it's fair to criticize them for that. That's just how it goes in the current world, in the modern world. Yeah. What are we doing here? Waiting for them to come or what? Interesting. Warframe is great, but I keep getting bugged in missions, breaking progression, so frustrating. Yeah, I think they have some issues with the progression. Sometimes I noticed that in the beginning when I started playing that I had so many server issues there. That was a little bit annoying. But for me now it works actually quite fine. But I have to be honest, in the last few months I played a lot of Guild Wars 2 as well and made content about it. I'm quite busy with creating content. That's you might not notice that, but when I do daily videos, that's a lot of time that I invest into stuff. And I like it. So it's not like most of the time that I play PC games is on stream. That is the biggest time that I play games. So you'll see most of that. Try Albion? Oh, interesting. Okay. I think you are good for the community, legit helping new players and just trying to make the game better. Yeah, I mean, I try my best, you know. I'm far from perfect, and if you have any comments to make me improve my content and stuff like that, let me know. But I try my best. I'm trying my best. I just unsubbed from Final Fantasy 14 after playing since 2.0, and I don't think I will go back. The jobs all play the same, and the 2-minute raid buff meta sucks. I've been really come to hate the constant git readme. Yeah, I can understand that statement. I definitely can. I have not played that much Final Fantasy, so I cannot say if that's like a common criticism or not. But at some point, you know, you have to understand that sometimes you have to go to somewhere new to experience it, and maybe you will come back to it, you know. I quit Guild Wars 2 in that sense, quit for 1 year or something in the past. It was after Path of Fire came out. I was like playing the game for like a year, almost not a single minute. And that was fine. You know, I just didn't like it. And after like a year or something, I decided to come back because I enjoyed it, what it looked like, what changed and stuff like that. But that is just the nature of things. You know, you don't have to like be in like a marriage with your game. You know, you can like enjoy what you like, and if you don't enjoy it, you leave. And I think that's even better in Guild Wars 2, because right now Guild Wars 2 is like you just come back whenever you want. You have no gear progression or stuff like that. You can just always come back. You will have the perfect gear. If you got it once, you will have it until the end of time. Yeah. Oh my god, that was a lot of damage. You helped me a ton when I started out, always positive, so thank you. Yeah, glad to hear that, glad to hear that. I hope I can help more people, and I think we have some really nice content creators aside from me as well in the community, and I hope we get more, you know. I think that's what is Guild Wars 2's biggest like point, why it's not as populated as it could be. It has a really high population, but it has a rather low content creation scene. So I really hope that we get more content creators in the future, because that will hopefully also improve how many new players we get. Yeah. Yeah. The contact windows default to friends list and not LFG is a crime, to be honest. I think in general the whole LFG window is a rather like lackluster thing. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it should have been updated years ago. Like years ago. Like look at all those categories. Yeah. If you're a new player, you don't know what any of this means, you know. So how do you get like to find anything? Like fractal quick play is great, but how do you find it? You know, you have to go there, and then there is this button. There are so many issues with this system. Like I think that's one of the biggest things I hope they will do is in the core feature update. It's perfectly for that if they would provide us with like actual core feature updates like LFG, which is like a base game feature, and they should update it to be more, I don't know, easy to find everything, to understand what it actually like wants to do, what it is not. It's not a role finder, it's more a party like search tool, stuff like that. I don't know. Really one of the top things on my list. One of the top things. Unfortunately, Guild Wars 2 is simply not that interesting to watch. PvP is really complex, and if you don't understand the game, you can't know what's going on. And there are no like seasonal challenges like new hard raids or pushing dungeons like in World of Warcraft. Yeah, exactly. I think Guild Wars 2 is, you see the big content creators for Guild Wars 2 like Mucklock, like Larenity, like Teapot. What are they doing? What are they doing in the game? It doesn't matter. They just talk about it. Yeah, they're just playing the game. They don't play something specifically crazy tryhard, or they are specifically good at anything. They just talk about it, and they are good content creators. And that's why people watch them. It's not that the people that are really good at the game typically don't get that many views, because it's just like a very niche audience that wants to watch their gameplay then. It's a really sad thing. In World of Warcraft, it's not the case. You have like people watching like crazy tryhards. There are some exceptions to this when like the hardcore legendary challenge mode comes out. That is one of the exceptions, but that happens once a year at most in Guild Wars 2. So yeah, I personally think that is a big issue. I agree that Guild Wars 2 is not as watchable when it comes to new players. They don't understand what's going on, or it's just not happening anything that is that important. There is not that many interesting events or challenges, or I don't know, Iron Man challenges or something. That doesn't really happen in Guild Wars, and that's a problem. I might try to improve that in the future, but for now, I don't know. It seems like might try some stuff, but for now it seems like not feasible in that community that much. Yeah, there's actually the quick play banner in front of the that is true. You have this quick play banner in front of there, but I feel like it's not as like easy to understand. At least for me, it was like I saw it and I thought, oh, nice, they have it there, but then I forgot about it again, because it's not something that is like as like flashy as a UI that would say, you have this and that's the quick play feature. At least for me, it wasn't as like bright and flashy. So I think it's like they could definitely improve some UI. I think that is one of the things that I criticize a lot about the game, is customizable UI and is like LFG. I think those two things about the UI would improve the experience for new players like drastically, and even for veterans. Yeah. The problem is the game is basically solved and we don't get nearly enough content to actually progress anything, which limits the topic spectrum. Exactly. It's like, yeah, I try to make content and that's nice and all, but it's oftentimes just content that someone else already did, because there is not enough new stuff that I could make new content about. It's a little bit sad. If you have a completely new game, you have content for years to make videos about. In Guild Wars 2, it's not really that much the case. Yeah. It's like Guild Wars 2, everyone is busy playing the game since there's so much content, but in WoW there is so much downtime to watch the content. I mean, I don't know. For me personally, I think Guild Wars 2 has amazing amount of content for new player, but for veteran that looks for new content, that played the game for 10 years, you have to wait quite long, and if you don't play competitive modes that much, then you don't have that much to do. It's like Guild Wars 2 is like weird, because it's really good in longevity if you play most of the game. If you're only in for a specific part of the game, like only raids, then the longevity is way lower than if you play, for example, World of Warcraft. That's so weird. If you come from World of Warcraft, you think, oh my god, there's so much to do, and there is. But if you are only looking at raids, only a specific part of the game, it's way less. And that is definitely like noticeable in the players that come and play the game, like it. And I had so many friends and viewers try out the game, played it for a couple of months, and then quit because they had no interest in playing the same raid that they played already 100 times. So I don't know. It's really hard to balance. It really is hard to say what they should do there. Welcome, Filthy. Welcome, welcome. You are doing a great job with the amount and quality of content you put out, given the restrictions of the game. Yeah, I mean, I always wonder what content creator I would have been if I would play World of Warcraft. Like starting 12.5 years ago, if I would have played World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy 14 or something, where would I have been now as a content creator? Would I have been way bigger? Would I have quit the game like longer time ago? Whatever. That is interesting question. Interesting question. Welcome, Volkin. Welcome, welcome. Wish they hired a dedicated raid team design. Would be so good. Yeah, I think raids are such a cool thing in the game. It's just, it misses a bit of like, it's just more. We need more. That's more of it. Less instance content, more open world content. Yeah. So less fun, intense things to make videos about. Yeah, I think that's the issue. You know, the player base is mostly casual in this game, and ArenaNet noticed that and make a lot of casual content, meaning you don't have that much try-hard content to make content about, because a casual player doesn't really want to watch someone that only plays casual content as well, you know, or at least if you don't do anything special about it. So that's somewhat of an issue, and I don't think that will ever change. I think Guild Wars 2 is pretty much locked into this like pretty casual audience with some tryhards doing the tryhard stuff like raid speedruns and that kind of stuff, and really like Harvest Temple and that kind of stuff, legendary challenge modes. I think that seems to be where they are currently in. So a little bit of tryhard content with a lot of casual content. Yeah, I know Snowdrop, I know that one. But the question is, would I be a successful content creator if I started playing WoW 12 years ago? Or is that just such a big content creation scene or so much commitment that I would not have liked it and not have continued and pushed through? I don't know. That's an interesting question to me. But it will probably be never answered. They should lock the whole fuck in and make a new raid wing every week. I would love that, you know. I would like that, you know. I would be more realistic and say every month they should put in like a new raid boss. That would be really good. But I don't know. I feel like they tried it with like the raids in like Chante Wilds. I think the performance was rather weak. And now they try it with the strike mission and raid missions, like merge, however it's called. That is the last try, and if that doesn't work, I think they will just give up on raids. I think it will work, to be honest, but I think it is the last jump at it. Have you tried doing some ECCM strikes with viewers? Like, no, I have not tried those. I will try them with the upcoming features and merging and stuff. I will want to make some CM trainings as well. So we will do that, Shake. We will do that. Do you think support Scrapper or engineer support is still good in World vs. World? I would say it's good. It's not like absolutely best in slot. Scrapper is decent, and it's for its super speed and support elements, but it's not absolute best in slot. So if you like it, go for it. But it's a little bit outclassed by other like Troubadour and Druids and Luminary. They are just a little bit better as a support. But Scrapper is not bad by any means. Yeah. Everyone has in less people than PvP has? Exactly. Exactly. I don't even know if that's still true. I don't know, Snowdrop. Because if I queue, it doesn't matter when I queue. The queue times are so long. I think PvP is like, at this point, actually lower. I would be very surprised if it's still higher than raids. I'm really looking forward to the raid strike combination. I really like the style of raids in Guild Wars 2. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. I think that's one of the biggest like features I'm looking for this year. Yeah. If they want to keep people content, they need to release a bikini or maid outfit every week. I guess, you know, or make it even like, that would be so like, the updraw would be insane. Make it bound to like raids or something, that you have to complete a raid or something to get a crazy outfit. People would be going insane there. Yeah. Is this game good? I would like to know, because I'm going to choose between Guild Wars 2 or Final Fantasy XIV. It depends what you want to do. I think both of them are awesome in their own regards. I think we have a lot of players here that actually play both games. And I personally would say Guild Wars 2 has strengths with the open world, has strengths with the combat. I think the combat is in Guild Wars 2 better, in my opinion. You have a really alive open world scene in Guild Wars 2. And in general, the game is very much alive. If you like to play instance content like raids or trials or however they are called in Final Fantasy and dungeons, I think Guild Wars 2 has good ones, but doesn't have insane amounts of them, where Final Fantasy and World of Warcraft have way more. So depends what kind of player you are. Yeah. Elite Scrapper used to be insane in World vs. World. Yeah, it got like nerfed and nerfed and nerfed, and then we got new elite specs, so it's not like the best anymore. Yeah. Biggest downside is probably the super high end rates than Final Fantasy, but everything else, Guild Wars 2. Yeah, I think Final Fantasy has a little bit of a backlash in the last few months. I think Guild Wars 2 has way more positive like vibes that we get from the community now. I think we have really, really good, like, if you're a new player, you have years of content in Guild Wars 2, even if you enjoy raiding. And it's just fun. I would recommend Guild Wars 2, but I'm of course biased. I'm a content creator here in this game, so I'm biased. But I personally like it. If you like what you're seeing, you can also check out my YouTube channel or my website to find more content there. But in general, I think Guild Wars 2 is a great game. Biggest Guild Wars 2 problem with raids is that huge gap between very good story in the later parts, and Guild Wars 2 is more of a... Yeah, I think that the problem with raids, there are so many... The raids are awesome, but they have problems. Yeah, absolutely. There is a big gap between casual players and tryhard players, and this is just a very hard to overcome hurdle. It is really a big problem. Yeah. I love PvP. Is Guild Wars better or WoW better? It depends what kind of PvP you're looking for. I think if you're looking at a competitive PvP scene, I think World of Warcraft has a slightly more competitive scene. If you're looking for like the best combat out of any MMOs in like a competitive setting, like for example, like PvP setting, I think Guild Wars 2 has better combat and better PvP for me personally. Yeah. Can I play pure power amalgam PvE content, fractals with spear or hammer. So in PvE, hammer is the way to go. You can play power with spear as well, but it's not as good. Yeah, I think Scrapper is like... Scrapper is in World vs. World not as good as it used to, sadly. You can still play it, it's not as good anymore. I feel like the only person on Final Fantasy XIV team that still lost their job in MMOs is Music Tap. That's crazy. I don't know, I don't want to judge there. I think Guild Wars 2 also has better open world. I think the open world is better in Guild Wars 2. I think Guild Wars 2 is probably one of the best open worlds of any MMO. Yeah, it's really good. But it's not for everybody, you know. Some people are looking for the classic MMO dungeon experience and stuff, and Guild Wars 2 is just not made for those people. Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. I would agree that there are some bad parts in raids with like time-gated stuff and stuff like that. But the good part is you can skip that in February. You can go and select Gossiville directly. You don't have to do the Spirit Run, for example. Or you can skip Gate directly. Stuff like that will come in the game. It's confirmed. February 3rd. So I'm hyped for that already. Yeah. You have nothing to do in Final Fantasy XIV other than story and raiding? Yeah, I mean, that's definitely then, if you like those, it's good. If you don't like them, yeah, that might be probably not the game for you then. Yeah. But yeah, I don't want to say any game is bad or something. It's just you have to find the game that is for you. And I like Guild Wars 2. I think that's the game for me right now. But that might change. And if you have any like other interests, then it's maybe a different argument there. Yeah, I think it depends heavily what... I think the communities in both games are actually quite nice, as far as I experienced it. But you always have some bad apples, and it's not for everybody. Like, for example, I know a lot of people that hate World vs. World, and that's one of the unique selling points. That's what I'm currently playing, is World vs. World. So I'm playing like sieging, open world PvP, yeah? And that's not for everybody. So if you don't like that, then Guild Wars 2, this unique selling point is not something that you're interested in. But that is something that Final Fantasy has only to a really small extent and not really good extent, to be honest. Because like, how is this called? Battlegrounds or something like that? They don't have that. They have that there, and it's not that like good. In Guild Wars 2, we have this is quite a alive part of the game. I really hate the fact that Final Fantasy XIV has such an amazing open world, but there's literally nothing to do in it. Yeah, I mean, that is the beauty of why Guild Wars 2 always is one of the nice games to play as an open world game, is because there is a lot of stuff to do. And I think the open world in World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy, a lot of other open worlds in MMOs is actually good. It looks good, it has a good feeling to it, but it is not really hitting the nail in the right spot in terms of like how much replayability, how engaging it is, and stuff like that. And I think Guild Wars 2, at least most of the maps and metas, actually do that. And that's the biggest strength there. Yeah. World vs. World would be so much better if you didn't have the PPT versus PPK guild drama. Yeah, I mean, there's, you know, it's a competitive game mode. There's always some drama. I think it would be better without it, sure. But I don't expect it to ever go away. Yes. Yeah, Guild Wars 2, the mega server system, and that makes Guild Wars 2 feel very much alive. I think the biggest selling point when it comes to the server system of Guild Wars 2 is that the servers are like, they are never down. Not a single minute. Like, Guild Wars 2 servers are always up. There are no maintenance times and stuff like that. You always have players because they always are merged on the same servers. So you don't have, like, so to say, selecting a server and you cannot like trade with other players on that server. That's not existing in Guild Wars 2. That's really nice, and that doesn't get mentioned enough. I think that's a really cool feature. Exactly. It's really people underrate how good that is. You know, having server maintenance is not a big issue if it's not happening when you don't play, obviously. But a lot of times it can be annoying if you log in and say, I wanted to play for 2 hours now, and then there is the maintenance. That's painful. That really is. So Guild Wars 2 doesn't have that problem, and I think that's quite nice. It really is. I think I might die here now. Maybe not. What even is PvP? PPT? PPT means points per tick, so that you don't care about fighting other players. You just want to capture the objectives like turrets, like towers and stuff like that. So you just fight the NPCs in the end. You don't care about actual other players. And then, of course, there's the other side where people actually want to fight only other players and don't care about the objectives. So there's always like this, you're playing an open world game mode, and some people only want to farm enemies and kill the actual players, and some players don't care about the players, but just want to farm the actual objectives. And yeah, it's a little bit, you will not like please everybody, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I personally like the element in World versus World of having like to decide what you want to do. Do you want to capture all the things? Do you want to defend your owns and stuff like that? I personally would like to find a middle ground. Like I said in the last stream, if there would be more incentives to actually, that was a very long stun. That's crazy. If there would be more incentives to win, I think you would have more different types of players playing World versus World. Some people would roam to capture the camps. Some people would enjoy like defending Stormless Castle, and some other people would fight like we are currently doing in open fights. I think that all is somewhat like reasonable and realistic. If there would be more rewards, because right now it doesn't really matter about winning and losing, so we just do what is currently happening. Yeah. Who actually plays for objectives in World vs. World? Some people do that, like some. I think most people would agree that like killing other players is more fun than hitting a door all the time, but some people enjoy that. I mean, I don't want to judge. They should push back daily reset 2 hours. I think it's really hard because there's always some kind of player type or region in the world that is not happy with the resets. So I don't know how to manage it in a way that most people would be happy. The biggest drama in World vs. World is matchmaking? Absolutely. Matchmaking is horrible when you're on the wrong side, on the wrong server and stuff. Nice, we got them, I think. Very good. PPT should lead to fights. That's the ideal world. Exactly. You should want to capture objectives, and because other people don't want you to capture the objectives, your enemies, that means that you have fights and you clash. That should be the ideal world. But right now it feels like either you have a karma train or something going and no fights, or you have like people just fighting on the guild spot or something. I don't think that's the only thing, but it's like you have those two extremes for sure. Yeah. A lot of people play World vs. World only to farm tracks and other things, not for PvP. Yeah, that is fair, and that is their right to do so, but it's obviously not the intended way to play the game mode. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, people only play for Gift of Battle, and that's not the intended way to play this game mode. But it's completely fair, because if you don't like the game mode and you still need it for the legendary, then what else would you do? Yeah, it's just how it goes. I don't know. Maybe they should fix Gift of Battle and make it sellable, or at least tradable for Gift of Exploration. Who knows? World vs. World was good first years when you had lots of Triad guilds. How anyone plays with this fights anymore is a mystery. Yeah, I mean, not everybody likes this current state of the game mode. That's true. But I'm not sure if that will ever change again. It's a good tip, Snowdrop. It's a good tip. Matchmaking has been a real issue since release. I don't know what would even be a working system or what it would look like. There are so much variance and nuances. Yeah, I think I don't want to be in their shoes. I think matchmaking is one of the hardest things to fix, and I don't even know how it would look like to fix. I really think so. I feel like if there's another way of getting Gift of Battle, we are going to see a huge drop in World vs. World population. That might be true, but I think a lot of players would also like that. So it's like, do they listen to the players that actually don't like it, or do they listen to the players that you want to have more population of the game mode? Because that's if World vs. World instantly dies if you lose 90% of the population. Instantly. Because you need population to keep big fights. You know, if you have only a 10th of the player base, then you have no active Zerg fights anymore. That's just horrible as well. So I don't know, they have to find a middle ground there, and I don't know how to fix that and to find it. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how World of Warcraft final PvP works and stuff like that well, but I think like every PvP game has some issues with like catering to different audiences, and you just cannot make it perfect for everybody. Just sell the Gift of Battle for 500 gold and remove some gold from the economy. 2 birds with 1 stone. I guess they could do it. I guess that would also be okay. I mean, I don't know what their arguments are for keeping it like that. You know, they did not change Gift of Battle since the beginning of time. Since the game is out, it has exactly the same like way of getting it. You have to play World vs. World, nothing else. I don't know if they will ever change it though. I don't know. I just don't know. For me, the biggest downside of World vs. World is readability. Large-scale fights turn into an FPS drop fest with tons of visual clutter and spam, which really hurts the overall experience. Yeah, I can understand that argument. I can definitely see that. It's not for everybody. And I think that will not change. You know, some people really like exactly this visual clutter and this like mega clown fest fiesta. Some people hate it, and I think you cannot cater to both audiences. How will you do that? It's just impossible. So that's just what I think there. But yeah, that's just my opinion. The rework of Staunch Aura would make roaming Catalyst harder to play? Absolutely, it will be way harder. And I don't know the numbers, how long the boons last, but they will definitely like be a big difference there. Big change to Catalyst for sure. Either way, I think that is the end of the stream. I had a blast, I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you all for watching, and yeah, thanks for joining in today. And like I said, check out my website and check out my YouTube channel. I have really good stuff coming up, hopefully you agree with me there. Thanks for watching and thanks for your support. And I wish you a very nice weekend, a very nice day. And see you around. See you.